chandelier the way the nigga shining. Hey, fuck what you mean, man, fuck what you mean. Money dirty like the Sprite, you know what I lean. Yeah, trapped in the hustle, yeah. Money's out of my mind, I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind, you can't see it, you blind. Still trapped in the hustle, yeah. Trapped in the hustle, yeah. See, money's all on my mind, I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind, can't see it, you blind. I'm still trapped in the hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle. Niggas hustle some money, niggas hustle some weed. Niggas hustle a job and bitches hustle some weed. Hustle by any means, they hustling anything. Kid like Dr. King and hustle you for your dreams. Fuck you mean, nigga? I'm living life, man, I'm living life. Niggas hating me cause they ain't living right. I'm living life, man, I'm living life. I'm Mr. West with that money, I got my shit right. Fuck what you saying, man, fuck what you saying. Cause I ain't listening unless you paying. Fuck what you saying, man, fuck what you saying. Niggas dying, take a chance, Lord, that's why we praying. Amen, amen. 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 Still trapped in the hustle, yeah. Trapped in the hustle, yeah. See, money's all on my mind, I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind, can't see it, you blind. Still trapped in the hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. On my hustle, yeah. Hustle, yeah. In the hustle, yeah. Trapped in the hustle, yeah. Money's all on my mind, I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind. You can't see it, you blind. I'm still trapped in the hustle, yeah. Trapped in the hustle, yeah. Money's all on my mind, I ain't wasting no time. That's why I'm on my grind. You can't see it, you blind. I'm still trapped in the hustle. This the shit that we on. This the shit that we on. This shit that we on. This the shit that we This the shit that we on. This the shit that we do. Claim niggas an animal, come riding out like the zoo. Caged up, let us loose. Black lives on the matter, nigga, when you're lying dead on the news. Gotta bang that blue. Cops kill your blood, niggas ain't talking about pyro. Better get a clue. Wake up, my people, this shit can happen to you. Treating us like fools, keep killing our youth, spreading lies in our schools. They ain't telling the truth. Fuck all of they rules. Signing off is a new nigga with a attitude. Now this the shit that we on. This the shit that we on. This shit that we on. This shit that we on. ain't trying to just sit around and get about everything we going through. Ain't trying to live life and thank God like who the fuck is you? Ain't trying to feel years on earth. I done shed blood, shed tears on dirt. Fighting these fools trying to smear my work. On a set trip trying to clear my turf. Who are you? What am I? I'm confused. We must wanna die. We killing ourselves is another crime. Cops killing our brothers, they killing our brothers, and I know why. You got us killing ourselves, that ain't no lie. Look, let me break it down for you. First slave master, next employer. No 40 acre, no mule, no noise. Them type of eyes where the God destroys. Blood pressure makes diamonds, we shine and grind and we reach our goals. Searching for work without selling soul. It's the shit that we own, we own, we own, we own, we own, we own, we own. It's the shit that we own, we own, we own, we own, we own, we own. Look, it's the shit that we own, we own, we own, we own, we own, we own, we own. Look, it's the shit that we own, we own, we own, we own, we own, we own. Yeah, push to the side, push to the side. They take niggas' lives, kill niggas' pride. Situations get minimized. Criminal history emphasized. On the victim, they penalized. Officers don't get penalized. Big business is an enterprise. Social media to hypnotize. That's what people don't realize. Jail and slavery the same thing. Gotta look at what it symbolized. Still going through the same pain. About time that we improvise. Should we Nat Turner or Dr. King? Should we rise up or live the dream? Should we stay quiet, don't make a scene? Go Malcolm X by any means. Pick a sides, no in between. Nigga, pick a sides, no in between. Yeah.
But like you said, man, that's
check. Mic check. Oh, okay. All right.
Boogie Down Productions will always get paid.
Check.
We'll
Mic
take
check,
the
1, 2.
wackest rhyme and make it better.
There you start the show off. Like,
Remember to let.
for all of you that are logged on already, how many bars was that? Like eight bars? Yeah, but you dropped by 8 bars.
Yeah, about.
Heard them 8 bars by MC Lowdown.
MC Lowdown.
What's happening, people? Classic Conversations with JT and Low. We are back. We are back. We are back. Please go to the website, and I need you guys to subscribe. UrbanAtlanta.com. I need you guys to subscribe. Please be a part of the show. Give us a telephone call, 404. I said it right. Yeah, 404-500-1605. Was it one? Man, I'm tripping tonight. So we're gonna do the show backwards. Angelo, who had the club this weekend?
Yeah, that's totally backwards. This weekend we got the king of underground comedy, man. That dude, Doo-Doo Brown's in the building. Boy out of Florida. Yeah, man, Doo-Doo's in the building all weekend long. And next week, if everybody remembers my man Bob Sumner, man. If y'all know who Bob Sumner is, Bob Sumner is the real creator of Def Comedy Jam behind. Russell Simmons was the man with the plan, but every comedian that went on Def Jam was all booked and found by one, Bob Sumner. Bob Sumner doing a comedy showcase next week, doing an invitation only. So if you're not on my list, you know, it is what it is. But I got 50 comedians going live in front of Bob, man. Bob is still doing all the bookings for Apollo. He's working on a new show, and if y'all ever seen the little laugh tracks where the comedian is they got the people acting the jokes of the comedians.
Acting the joke out.
Yeah. That's Bob Sumner's TV show, man. Laugh track. So he gonna be looking for people for doing all that stuff, man. So that's next week. There it is.
All right, so y'all, that's at Uptown Comedy Corner, out here in Hateville. Come through. Ask
Big
a
announcement coming soon. I'll make it next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
Got something good for y'all.
Yeah.
Ask a cop. This is our residential law enforcement officer with all the rules and everything about Atlanta is 110%. Nah, MJ, what's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm making it, man. Good week.
Good deal. And then we got our guest over here that just every time he comes in, he likes to sit out in the audience. And finally, the engineer said, "Man, why you wasting my time? Why don't you just go ahead and get up there?"
Knowing he's gonna come up sooner or later anyway.
Right, man. Know you're gonna come on up here, bro. I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, right. What you sitting over there for? You're trying to sit in the corner. Then you're gonna be yelling out. Then we got to tell you to come up here. Then engineer got to change. I mean, you in this business, man. You don't want the man to have to change his camera up and everything. Go on, introduce yourself.
I
bro.
got you.
Go
I
on,
got
let
you.
him
My
know.
bad, yo. What's up, Roy Evans? Just kicking it, the Black College Sports Network, Jericho Broadcasting, doing our thing. Just got to come in here and support my peeps.
And y'all excuse me if you say, anybody that know me on social media know I usually got my white towel in my pocket. So now you see it's a reason that I always carry the white towel.
Yes.
I'm on a diet this week, and I'm not drinking, and I think that's why I'm sweating so much. I think if I had a drink, I might stop sweating. But I'm going to stay off of it. I'm drinking water. So, yeah, this week, man, we, with everything that's going on in the country right now, the pandemic and how everything is opening up, we wanted to talk about,
Hey, JT,
is it a pandemic or
cut
not?
you off, but you said go backwards, though.
Okay.
Before we hit the main topic, because we're going to get off topic at some point.
Yeah.
So before we get off topic, let me just get off topic real quick.
Go ahead.
So this is the anniversary of George Floyd's death. And so they've been doing a lot of tributes to him. So I just want to just point out to the audience, man, but I just want to get a quick thought from you brothers on what's your thoughts a year later and how do you feel about the different celebrations they're doing right now and then the one thing I heard today, I heard him say the death of George Floyd as opposed to the murder of George Floyd. I felt like they should continue to express the fact that the man was murdered. You know what I mean? So I just want to get a quick thought because, before we get off topic, let's get off topic.
Go ahead, bro.
So now that makes sense. I was in writing mode all day today, but I jumped on social media a couple of times, and for some reason, both times that I did, I saw a tweet that was making its way on Facebook from what's your boy Vernon Jones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it said, I wish they would celebrate the death of Jesus like they celebrate the death of George Floyd. And it kept making me wonder, what the hell is this Negro talking about? And it didn't make sense until you just brought that up. Man, listen, we live in a society that's built on revisionist history. Heck, give it another 3 years, George Floyd committed suicide. Because they going to say it loud enough, they going to say it enough. It's not going to continue. We have to be very, very cognizant of the fact that we must make sure that we don't let them change history that we are living. That's the thing that we got to do. And you're absolutely right. We have to remind people that this man was murdered. This was not a death. He didn't just die. He was intentionally murdered, and that is our responsibility. That is our responsibility to make sure that we remind people that, because the mainstream media is not going to do it. Mm-hmm. The system is not going to do it. It's crazy, man. But yeah, I saw Vernon. It tripped me out. I ain't have a clue of what he was.
Is that an android?
What he was talking about. And so actually,
catching on the voices.
EAVINS Evans, not Edwards. I just wanted to go ahead and get that straight.
Oh,
I looked over there. Yeah, but yeah, man, that was crazy. And I had no clue what he was talking about. And it's like, it's funny because I know we're gonna talk about your boy, Kwame in a little bit. But like Vernon Jones are exactly the type of black people that he's talking about. He's talking about black people who have been paid to maintain the narrative of those people who are in control. Because I don't even understand how you can be a black man and have anything negative to say about that situation as it relates to George Floyd. Dude was in a car, handcuffed. It would have been different if they had done all that stuff when they first got him. You know, you may have been able to say something. It still would have been wrong, because that's what happened with your boy up in New York. But, you know, the fact that they pulled him out of the car and put him in this position and did all this stuff, and people are finding ways to justify this stuff, and again, now like you say, trying to change the narrative, it's all part of the plan, man. They want us, because they understand that one of our challenges is that we're still a very reactionary people.
Sure.
And we end up with short memories.
Sure.
Said there though that it is our responsibility to make sure that when we see somebody say the death of George Floyd, that we need to make sure that we try and correct them as best as we can. Of course, it's probably on social media. It might even be while you're walking through Walmart, but as best as we can to try and correct them and say, no, it's murder of George Floyd. I was looking at a television show, the name of it. Am I good, man?
Sound like it went out for a minute.
Am I good? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not hearing him.
Told y'all we'd be having technical difficulties.
Everybody have them, baby. That's part of the business, man. It don't care who you are.
Check,
ABC.
There you
check,
go.
check. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I was looking at a television show, and the guy, it was Law and Order, that new Law and Order. He said, how did he say it? He said, listen, her son had gotten tackled by the police because they came around the corner and he was standing there, so they thought that he was the offender. So they tackled him, and his phone slid from his hand. He was reaching for his phone, so they stepped on it and they messed his hand up. So the white officer was saying to the mother, black mother, saying, I just want to say again, I'm sorry about what happened. How do you say? I'm sorry about what happened to your son. And she said it in a different, I just lost my train. She said it in a different way, almost what we're talking about, how people are changing the narrative. Mm-hmm. He said happened to him, and she said no. It happened against him, or something like that. The way she said it, small wordplay can play into the minds of people if you keep saying it over and over again. It could play into the minds of people. And like you said, the next thing you know, George Floyd committed suicide. So, what you got for him in regards to the next year, where we at, what you feel about everything, all that type stuff?
Well, I think that's good to focus on that, but I think what the real focus needs to be on is the appeal. The murderer has appealed it. So, you celebrate, but the celebration shouldn't happen until it's actually over. It's not over yet. He's appealing, and you don't know what those arguments are going to be because...
They've said what a few of them are already.
Yeah.
Yeah. They say what a few of the arguments are.
Yeah, and so, but we don't know what judge is going to go to, who appointed that judge. That's one thing that we sleep on, and that goes back to what you always say at the end of the show. Vote.
Vote. Talking about voting. That's
because
right.
what happens is if you vote in people that are going to put in judges that are going to favor people that don't look like you, then you got to take that responsibility because it's very, very a real possibility. If we stay in the forefront, then not those appeal judges going to be looking at it just like everybody else is handling these cases. I don't want to be the one that causes a riot that burns half of America. But if we just pretend that it's not happening, we do our nice posters, everybody gets to take a nice selfie for their Facebook and whatever, what's going to end up happening is the appeal goes through, it's going to shoot in, they're going to win. That's possible. Yeah. But if you keep it out there like you were saying, not so much for the masses, for people to forget, but just so those judges know
that's right.
They're still paying attention. That's what I think, Shaq.
See, that's the thing that people be missing, man. When we get
little
dealing
clip,
with these judges, because it's
a lot.
quiet. See, the appellate courts are quiet. That's what people don't realize, and they're quiet for a reason, because you can get a case where he's been found guilty, but then you just let it die down. You knew 30 minutes after the case was over, they were filing the appeal. They knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Well, shit, I appeal too. Shit.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah. But see, that's the thing because we only hear about, we get all of the big news for the first case, for the first one. And after that, we forget about it. And like you said, did them appellate judges, go back and look at how many appellate judges President Trump appointed. And you know who they were.
It was 100 plus. I had a number.
Call Obama on that because there's some he left vacant and didn't fill, but it could have filled.
But they denied him the opportunity to fill a lot of them.
Well, yeah,
posts
he
as well.
wasn't able to fill his.
Yeah.
He wasn't that was one of the challenges that he had.
Push it though. You got to push it.
Yeah, they tried it on that one, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man. But
I know the first appeal was the fact of the juror. They found he had a Black Lives Matter shirt on. Y'all saw that?
No.
One of the jurors.
After?
Yes, but he had the Black Lives Matter shirt on prior to the trial, and they found an old social media picture of it. So that's one of the first appeals they put in, and then the other one was a judge. Something that the judge did, and then the thing with Maxine Waters, what she had said.
they felt she was tampering.
So they don't have I haven't seen a lot of legal appeals part, but the main appeal they put in was that one of the jurors had on a Black Lives Matter shirt, and apparently some of the questions that was asked of them didn't validate him wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt, prior to the trial.
That is going to be illegal. That is illegal precedent.
So in other words, some of the questions asked of him as the juror or the jury as a pool, he didn't say I had on a Black Lives.
Yeah. And then they found him. He had on the shirt, and they got the date on it.
No, don't shake your laugh, people, because the same thing would be if they found out a white juror had a KKK shirt on.
That's right.
And that's what it doesn't represent the same thing to us. Let's be fair about it.
No.
It's totally different. What I'm
You,
saying
wait. You are not going to sit
No, I'm
here
not putting them in
and
the same
compare
thing.
the
I'm not
KKK
comparing
and
them.
Black
What I'm
Lives Matter
saying
together. So it's not the same
What I'm saying
thing.
is when you allow those appellate
talking about the
judges to get in
judges
there,
right.
it's a judge. This isn't going
So
to a
I
jury.
can still sit here and do like
This
this
is a
and
judge
go.
is gonna know how a judge is going to look at it. What I'm saying is, I'm serious. How a judge is going to look at it, he's going to say, well, that T-shirt, what would happen if this happened? This T-shirt, what would happen? They're going to look for a technicality. That's what I'm saying. And that's how they're going to look at it.
And that's what
how I
appeals
should've
are
said
about,
that.
is
Should've prefaced it with the
technicalities.
fact
Sure.
that's how they're going to look at it.
So
They're gonna
basically,
try to marry him in
the
the
only
same.
way that you can be on a jury in that type of situation is not be black, even though you're black.
No.
I mean, there's some
what
time,
happens is,
but there's
what's
some time in your
I'm
life
just talking
that you
purely-
wore
I'm just-
something that says something about
Exactly,
Black
and it can
lives.
come back to bite you. It can come back to bite
So
you.
again, the only way you can be on the jury in
What
that
I'm saying
situation.
is they're gonna look for an excuse, whatever excuse they can find, to get them a new trial and then get a change of venue. And the one thing they're talking about that Loden mentioned is the fact that they're appealing the fact that the judge wouldn't let them get a change of venue. And for those that don't know what a change of venue is when
Right.
you say the area where the trial is actually happening is so volatile for the person that's involved that they can take it to another area. And you got to think about it. If they take it to another area, what would have happened? And so I'm not saying anything is right, so don't get me wrong on that. But I'm saying that a appellate judge is going to look at it like, if it was a KKK shirt, because you got to realize that's what, I can't say what,
Well, you know what,
some of white America in the media tried to portray Black Lives Matter as a black hate group.
Right.
That's why I said that.
And that's why I say, don't you maybe not use KKK, maybe use a Proud Boys T-shirt.
Or
Rebel flag.
Sons of Confederacy.
Right.
Yeah,
Somebody with a Confederate flag
that's just
on.
cleaning up
'Cause they
KKK.
They would look.
That's just cleaning up KKK.
We know, but yeah. But like you said though, that's what happens in the
But
game.
yeah, and that's how I meant to. See, it didn't come out the way I probably wanted to, but that's what the reality is.
Yeah.
You have a judge just sitting up there. I'm not saying the judge is looking for an excuse to let him win the appeal, but you got to realize how a lot of Americans are looking at it. They're looking at it like they've attacked,
don't forget
back
people.
the blue. And
Half the people in this country
So-
voted for Trump.
exactly.
million.
So don't be shocked.
Half of them, right?
so
Not a third, not a quarter.
So, I mean, listening to that and listening to what we're saying, we had to come far. We're pretty much where we were last year.
Well, I mean, like you said,
I mean,
though, Jay,
you
Until
know,
the conviction is upheld, yes.
yeah, until the conviction is upheld, we're still pretty much where we were last year.
There were some things, and I think in a lot of aspects you're right. I don't know if you had a chance to read them because I didn't get a chance to read it, but there were some things that I saw posted yesterday, and I wanted to read it, but it's the title was "Police Policies That Have Changed 1 Year Later." I don't know. Did you get a chance to get up, check out any of that?
I'm
Yeah,
familiar
I didn't
with a
get it.
couple policies that changed, and it's asinine.
Yeah, such
Some-
as anything offhand.
LaGrange, they're saying that you should shoot the wound, shoot
Yeah, I
in the
did.
ankle, shoot in the hand, but don't shoot to incapacitate. Well, you have no business pulling out your weapon, your firearm anyway, if deadly force isn't needed. You don't pull out a weapon to bluff. You pull out a weapon for exactly what it's designed for, deadly force.
Now, let me ask you this in regards to that. Could they be, maybe they have to go back and change it up a little bit, but could they be speaking of if somebody else doesn't have a gun? Should you shoot the wound instead of shoot the kill? Is that, do you think that could be what they're saying?
Is your life in danger? You are a third party. Is your life in danger? That's what deadly force boils down to.
That's what it's, that's, if deadly force is about to be used against you or against
A third
third party, okay, I get it. But we've seen some things where it was pretty much, and of course we know somebody could have done, you don't know what somebody is going to do when they turn their back to you and they reach. We understand that. But say in some of those cases, if you shoot in the leg or whatever, I know it's iffy, I promise you, because again, when somebody, like we're talking about the guy that came all the way around the car and went into his car, first off, he shouldn't have got to the car. We've discussed that part.
Number one.
But with him leaning in there, if you did shoot his leg, shoot his shoulder, and then we turned around and shot to kill, could that be what they're asking?
Well, okay, now, and this is purely from, that's why you say, as a cop. You got to look at it from the standpoint of, imagine if the guy's going to his car, he leans to get in the car, and I go, bam, shoot him in the shoulder. Man, they shot that man, they don't know what he was doing. He was just getting ready to get in his car trying to leave, and they shot him in the shoulder. Okay, you're articulating the fact, then you're playing a guessing game, because the only way you can pull your gun if you feel your life is threatened or third party. So if you pull your gun and shoot him in the shoulder and you're using deadly force, because see, people watch too much TV. When people get shot, that person, when you see people in the hood walking like they're the gimp or in wheelchairs, it's because they were shot. And a lot of people, oh man, he's just shot in the leg. Femoral artery, you bleed out. Or the people that have to have a section of bone removed and they got a short leg and they're walking, hopping the leg up. Not trying to make fun of people, but that's what happens. And then when they're shot in the shoulder and it hits the shoulder blade and then bounces to his heart. Because bullets ricochet once they get inside the body, particularly smaller caliber rounds, 22s, 25s, 380s. They bounce around. 223, believe it or not, if it hits a shoulder blade, it may come out your ankle. Bounce all the way through your body. And a lot of people are aware of the ballistics. So you're asking something, but I go back, I spoken a little bit last week, that people that typically shoot a possible, which is 100 or in the high 90s, when a stressful situation, they shoot in the 80s. And when people that shoot in the low 90s, high 80s, they typically shoot in the 70s. And people that shoot in the 80s typically miss. That's in a stressful situation. We used to call it pucker factor.
I can dig it.
Hey, here's man Beyond Date and chimed in. We finally got him situated up there.
Beyond Day Shockwave for life. What's up, bro?
He might be on mute. If you're on mute, take it off mute.
Can't hear him. Turn it on.
He must have heard you, but. There we go. I'm about to get him on there. All right, Teasy. Now we can go into
I'm not
the.
available to take your call right now, but if you would,
I don't know. I think he can hear us. That's us calling you.
Yeah, he can hear us.
We can't hear. We can't hear you.
When your phone ring, pick it up. That's us calling you. Call him again.
bye-bye.
At the tone, please.
Pick up your phone.
With JT, go. You want to start your dialogue, man, and we just bring him on
I
in.
think he's doing it now. He just answered.
All right, can you hear me?
There we go. There we go. Now we got you.
Oh, so I got. Hold on. Let me put my earpiece in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna help us out a little bit.
He hung up too, didn't he?
He put his earpiece in.
Okay. Tell your man to quit hanging up on me. So what I was about to say was, so if
Turn your computer thing down because we got echo.
I got you.
There you go.
All right. So what I was about to say was, so if it ain't your mama, your kids or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Is that like any different?
In terms of what?
In terms of deadly force.
Yeah, any third party. It don't have to be nobody related to you. It can be a total stranger.
I feel
You got the authority. You got the right to save somebody's life. He said, Hey,
You know what?
go ahead.
Man, it's funny. It's funny that y'all talk about that because we still working on that date, June 5th, to kick our process off, and that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask. As we start some of these additional conversations and stuff, man, and it's like after all of these things that have happened in these various cities, what policy has changed? Because see, the first thing that should have been dealt with in this George Floyd situation is, again, remember the reason that people were so surprised he got off, that he thought he was going to get off, that is policy. That move is a legal move, and he is a training officer. That is legal to, it doesn't matter what it is. We can say, we can dislike it. He was on there for 8-9 minutes. It doesn't matter. It's still a legal move. The first thing that they should have been doing in that community is outlawing, getting that move outlawed in the city and in the state.
There's about 17 states that have done that since George Floyd, that are striking at those movers. But
Is
people
Minnesota
don't
one of
realize
them?
There's a
Or
lot
Min-
that goes
is-
into that.
Is that one of them?
Yeah, Minnesota has.
They did do it?
Yeah,
Okay.
they repelled it. But there's a lot that goes into
Oh,
it
yeah.
because what you have to do, and a lot of states, like municipalities, if they want to change it, they don't have the money
Money
to
to
actually
do it.
change it.
'Cause they gotta
Because what you have to
retrain.
do, okay, that man,
I
he's
got
a
you.
training officer.
I know
yeah.
the
It's a
process, brother.
It's a mass training that has to take place.
Yeah.
And a mass training costs, for a bigger department like Atlanta, it may be $1 million if you don't have the trainers that are capable. You have to do what's called train the trainers. So you have to send 4 or 5 of your
Okay.
people out. In a school that could have been 5,000 last week is all of a sudden 50,000 now because every major department in the country is trying to send trainers there so they can come back and do a mass training with their people.
Now, let me. Okay, you're saying it's a lot of training that has to be done.
Yes. No, it's needed and they're going to do it, but that's why people want it to be
But-
instantly. You just can't strike it out.
But I'm trying
So-
to figure out if we're telling you not to do this anymore, why does it need to be training not to do it?
It's a thing called muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's with any form of training. If he's trying to teach one of his tellers or people to do his
No.
register to detect, no,
You
it is.
don't go through that thing every call. Muscle memory is
No,
something that you
no.
use all the time.
No, muscle memory is something you go on how, and he's a trainer, and he can speak on it also. When you're trained to do
Yeah, it's
something,
figurative.
when stress
Isn't
actually
it a-
hits you,
isn't
when
it a
stress
choice?
hits you,
That's not a choice
Nah.
to use
No.
that move.
It's figurative, JT, because that's the thing. He may call it muscle memory, but it's not the same thing in terms of what you're thinking.
Okay,
So
so you
it's-
said
it's
triggers. Okay.
But
Yeah,
when
it-
when a high stress incident happens,
Yeah.
an officer, I don't care if it's your job, and you have to
Right.
press a button. It's stressful situations, so you don't go on what you're thinking. You
go
just
on what you
react.
remember it,
Your
right.
muscle
Muscle
memory. That's what
memory.
they call it, muscle memory.
Okay,
And so
now I
when a
got it.
person's stressed and fear for their life, or in belief that they're in fear for their life, they're going to react on how they're trained. That's why you have
Okay.
to go to a master.
I see what you're saying.
So,
And I get
so,
what you're saying.
so the thing about it, when you talk about millions of dollars for the training, but because it's government, do you think that companies who or people who take advantage of that in terms of training take advantage of it because it's government, and that's why it costs so much?
No, training
Oh,
is just-
as far as the trainers, you're
Right,
saying
companies
Yes.
the
that
companies
send
that
the
do the
trainers,
training.
Yeah, they come in and jack the prices up because it's government. It's guaranteed money.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, people do that because I used to
When we
work in
did-
the middle.
Look, when we didn't have no gas, the gas prices went up. We needed gas.
Right.
The prices went up
Need
on
some training?
untrained
Guess what?
truck
Prices is going up. So I
Now,
get that. But
I
now
get
let me
what
ask you
JT
this:
said.
in regards to that, then, is it still okay? You said that they put a legislation where they're trying to they change that out, and
Yeah, they're changing it, taking
Changing
it
it.
out, but now they have to,
So-
the plans and everything and the training has to put in place. You just can't take it off the books because
Right.
now you're leaving those officers unarmed. If you're telling me you can't do this, you have to replace it with something.
okay, so if somebody does it now, can't they use the defense of the
Muscle memory.
And they will.
They
No,
will, right?
will
That's the
use
point.
it.
That's
So
what
in,
I'm saying.
so in other words, this legislations don't mean shit.
No, okay. Cause see, I get what you're saying about the process because what you should be able to do, and this is where, like I said, going through and having done some of the trainings, you go through the process, and the first thing that needs to happen is yes, they need to stop and say this move.
this
They
moment on.
need right is an illegal move. It is something that you cannot continue to use. It needs to be a memo. Hell, if it needs to be a memo every week until they can
that's what they do.
rotate, right?
That's
until they
what
can
they should
rotate everybody
Roll
in.
call training.
Because
Roll
what they're
call
going to do is
training,
right, they're
everybody
going to
sign
train
for it.
the first group of people that have to get that new training are going to be the trainers.
So they could basically
Then-
teach them a new chokehold.
Well, it's not
Yes,
that. I
the
mean,
trainers-
to
trainers
whatever
get
the
it
new
when they
maneuver is going to
retrain,
be
yeah.
used. Like I used to work in the mental health industry, and we used to have to get PSI and PTI restraint training
There you
to
go.
know how to hold. You know, when you get people who going crazy, you
Or
got to
those
know how to
chairs.
hold them, right, without injuring them. And it's just like he said.
I mean, let's call a spade a spade. That particular hole is garbage. Period. That particular hole is garbage for any agency in America. That hole is garbage. How many times you ever use it? How many times you ever stand on somebody's neck? In
that's
30
different.
years.
It's-
How many times in 30 years did you ever stand on somebody's neck?
It's always been illegal in Atlanta. But we had
My
another-
point is that, and that's my point. That particular hole is garbage from the giddy up. That is nothing but and excuse my French, a nigga hold 'em hole. You know what I mean? They wouldn't. I guarantee you ain't gonna find one video nowhere of a white dude ever been held down by his neck.
Oh yeah, that has.
I'd like to
that
see it.
video's out there. That
I'd like to
video's
see
out.
it.
Well,
Find it.
it's a move. They've used it for years.
They're
It's just like-
not using that particular hold
And now,
on.
don't
any-
get
They didn't
me
use it for
wrong.
9 minutes
Do
on
not start
somebody
slamming
else.
me,
Yeah,
people.
that-
I am not saying it's
I-
a good move.
It's a
What
horrible
I'm
move.
saying is
It's a horrible move.
They were trained in it, so you have to untrain the people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of maneuvers. that
I'm
were
sure they were trained in it, but I'm more than certain all those officers weren't using that particular hold. Certain
Right.
officers were
That
using
should-
that hold for certain people. I
That shouldn't be
bet
part of-
my bottom dollar.
That shouldn't be part of muscle memory.
It shouldn't be. Period. Point blank.
Hey, that's what I
it's a
said
move that
earlier.
you-
That hold is garbage.
That is
You know
a
what I'm
choice.
talking
He's a
about.
trainer.
I know
Y'all
what you're
got-
saying,
y'all
but
keep
it
forgetting.
don't justify. I'm
Dude
saying though.
is a trainer. That's a piece that people are missing when you talk about the muscle memory. He is a trainer. He has gone in classes and taught this over and over again that you can do it. Now,
If
here's-
they did proper training, we don't even know what
here's-
kind of training they're doing up there.
But see, here's and this is my point about that
But
piece
then
to
that,
it.
so you don't want to say
The
that
other-
out loud because who does that back up? That's why the appellate judge would
Right.
retry.
My thing is that the officers around him are the ones that should have been held more accountable for him doing that. And they see that this is the piece that we like I said, we got to look at all of this. And you know, Darren, the Darren talks about this stuff all the time, man. He says we are going after the wrong people in a lot of these situations. You should have went after his immediate supervisors in that process. Because what that now does is that holds the person who's over him responsible for his action.
No, you don't go out there
his
as media
training.
I don't
supervisor.
think they did anything wrong.
You-
The only people I think that could be held accountable are the other officers
That were there.
witnessed him do it and didn't stop it. And the thing,
Why would you stop him if it's a legal move?
Because at some
but
point you
in
realize
fact,
it's
no, because
Because it's garbage.
Hey,
everybody has.
It was garbage.
look, we can't have muscle memory and then tell somebody to stop somebody
No,
because
man,
they
You
use
know what
muscle
I
memory.
mean by what
You
he
can't
should've
have it
been
both
stopped
ways.
at.
Yes.
Everybody swears an oath to serve and protect. When you have citizens telling you that somebody can't, excuse my French, can't fucking breathe, and you put your hands in your pocket and don't fucking look
And
down,
smirk.
that's why I think the man was convicted of murder. Now, if he would have put the move, I swear to God,
Oh, so
I
you
would
saying
not. We'd be
the- yeah,
arguing
the-
right
the
now.
length of the
we
time,
would have
yeah.
been arguing
length
right
is the
now.
craziness.
We'd be arguing right now, and I'd be backing him up. When they said he can't breathe, and he would have looked down and said, "Oh shit, he stopped breathing." Our radio started in 4 code 3. 4 code 3, suspect not breathing, and started CPR. I don't care if y'all got mad. I'd be sitting up here arguing the point. But when you're sworn to serve and protect, you have citizens yelling, white and black, yelling at the top of their lungs that, hey, he can't breathe. And the sole black officer that was there tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, you know, and he threw him off. That was a rookie. That was a rookie officer. Blew him off. That was an example of thin blue line. That officer's worried about what might happen, but he saw.
So
the
if the dude, so if the man is on the ground and he got his hands like handcuffed on the ground, he on his chest, how much of a threat is he?
No, that was on his neck. What that move is, I'm not. Believe me, I'm not endorsing this. So don't kill the messenger. But I'm trying to explain
Yeah,
how it happened.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm just trying to figure out, why do you even have to put your hands
did
on
they
a
get
man?
this?
If
Why
he
did
hit,
they- that
That
point.
move was originally designed to keep people from getting back up. Because once your neck is disengaged, you
do
can't
nothing else.
force any move
Okay.
through somebody's neck.
so how many seconds does it take for a man to get up from that position?
Depends on the individual. A person his size, that's another thing. There's another move you
average.
can do is put
The
your
average.
foot on his ankle.
Because
Achilles
when you
heel,
talk about
and he can't get up.
when you look at situations like that, you got to look at the metrics. On average, how long does it take a man to get up from a position like that?
And that's why a lot of states, including Georgia, have outlawed that move. Some states are behind the times on stuff. But that's why I've always said the same thing. A national police academy where everybody's taught the same things. Like the Army. You don't have to worry about when you give a flare movement or column of twos. Everybody knows because you're trained the same way.
Yeah.
If you're doing an assault, everybody's going to do the same thing. Fire team leader makes a call. Now, in law enforcement, what happens in the very same state, you have jurisdictions that will do something or write an ordinance or SOP that supersedes something that's in the state. The city of Atlanta's done it when the mayor struck down making marijuana pretty much legal in Atlanta. What she did at that point and didn't want the enforcement, she tried to supersede state law. You can't do that. So Atlanta officers was just put a state charge down versus using the city ordinance. Yeah. It's simple things like that, but what we're arguing here, and it's, you know, you cannot, when officers are trained to do something the same way, now if it's a calm situation, no officer's gonna come in after it's been outlawed and say, hey man, get on the ground, I'm gonna put you in this move to keep you from getting up. No, it's in a stressful situation, when the shit's hitting the fan, that's when they're gonna react how they're taught. You're a trainer, sir, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, I mean that's how it goes. See, but like you said, it's funny because that's one of the things that I've been arguing for years, is that policing and education needs to be set by national standards.
Yes.
That stuff needs to be set because there's absolutely no reason that you're gonna train. Now, it's one thing when you train somebody to go through the police academy. Yeah, you're gonna have different situations in Atlanta and Miami than you're gonna have, hell, say in Athens in Wisconsin. You're gonna have the different types, but those are localities. The legal stuff, we should not be moving from state to state in this country, trying to figure out what's legal and what people can and cannot do, except on a smaller scale. I mean, y'all got to realize we still have laws on the books. We're in the Bible Belt. We still have laws on the books. There are counties, cities, municipalities that you can go into right now where getting head is illegal.
Sure.
I mean, there are those kind of laws. There's stupid laws.
For those of you that don't understand what getting head is, that is fellatio. In other words, that is oral sex, where the mouth of one person is on the sexual genitals of the other person. Go ahead.
And there are places that are still illegal. That's correct.
You know, right. And it's like there's things like that you can't do. There are places that it is literally still illegal for black people to be out after sundown. Like, that law is still on. How in 2021 is that law still able to be on the book in any
just
city?
like they
That's
put
still
Confederate
somewhere?
statues.
Yeah, dude, that
80
law is
years after the
available
war.
in certain places. So that's why I was saying we've got to have. I don't know. There was this show. Real quick, there was this show that came on Quantico. It was a TV show that came on Quantico.
Good show.
And if you watch to the very end of I think it was the third season, they talked about it. The people who were quote unquote the villains were actually right. We need to go through and revamp our entire system.
No question.
We need new laws because when we have to remember that again, and I heard somebody say this in the movie, at the time that the Constitution was written, the predominant weapon was a single-shot musket that took 1.5 minutes to load and fire if you were a proficient soldier. Think about that now.
And that's the law. And that's the laws that this country still run by.
Right.
Absolutely.
Those are the things. And so we need to change that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, the right
Are
to.
you trying to say gun control down there on the end?
Huh?
You trying to say gun control down there on the end?
And look, but see, that's the thing that people talk about. And you can have arguments. I think that to say that you can't, to say that there should not be some sort of a waiting period. And I plan on buying me a gun, but it's not an issue to have a standard for some people getting a gun, because you can't have somebody who is suffering from depression or clinical schizophrenia walking around with a weapon. I mean, like I said, I worked in that industry for years.
Ban the people, not the guns.
Right. It's not the guns, it's the people. You got to stop certain people from that because you just don't know what. I mean, you literally have no clue what this person gonna do from day to day. I mean, so.
All right, we're gonna cut you right there, Roy, because I know you'll keep going now.
Man, I'm sorry.
I want to get off topic. We got off topic. All right, JT. But I want to get out early.
Yeah, we got.
So now, but we got. But I want to give.
back to the
But I
topic.
want to give our time before I get our guest on, man. You know what I mean? So, JT, what's the topic about tonight?
Hey, man, we are actually talking about this so-called pandemic.
He said so-called.
Yeah, because like I asked in my post when I posted today, are we in a pandemic or not? Mask on or mask off. Now should we go back to how things were before March? Should we do that now? Because now masks are not mandated
Certain
For
places.
those
for
who have
certain,
been
certain
vaccinated.
places. Yeah, for certain places. And okay, vaccine, yay or nay? And then on top of that, what makes people think that once they get the vaccine, they're invincible?
Well, you're not because
I know that, but there's people out there that I'm listening to them say things to me, and I'm like,
No, listen, I heard that junk in the store the other day.
Yeah.
Where the guy, people wearing masks, and the lady was like, about your mask. The guy's like, what do you mean? The pandemic's over. Well, I look.
see,
I said, what?
this is what I'm talking about, man.
And he was dead. Hey, but listen, he was dead serious. He said, the pandemic's over.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
I'm-
Okay.
The pandemic is not over. It is not over.
And the reason I asked our guest to come on, man, Mr. Viande Bird. Viande is an old friend of ours, man. I went to West Georgia with this guy way back in the good old days, man, when it was West Georgia College. Man, Viande Bird, and he works for this. Viande, how long you been with the CDC now?
Man, 22, 23 years, dog.
No, it's been a long time,
Wow, so
man.
you was there when you was out there with Shockwave.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Man, you could have got us them shots for free.
Hey.
No other shots that we needed back in them days.
He's the other set of shots.
Other shots.
Them other set.
Well, I wish I'd have known that. I could have been a lot more frisky.
Hilarious.
Hey.
But talk to us, V, about the pandemic, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, the pandemic is nowhere near over, man. And the numbers and everything are going down in terms of active cases and things like that. But all these people that say that it's over or I'm safe and that sort of thing, you have this pocket of people who are not going to get the vaccine. They're just not going to do anything in terms of, securing themselves and their health. But what they got to understand, though, they got to go back. They got to go back to 8th grade science, and it's all about the science. And you got to realize that this thing is a virus. So the viruses, by nature, mutate, just like the flu. That's why you have all these different types of flu vaccines and flu variants and things like that. COVID-19 is no different. So as long as this COVID-19 is out there, it's going to continue to mutate into different types of variants. And each one of those variants is a different disease, is a different virus. And unless you have a vaccine that is specific to that particular virus, it's going to continue to run rampant. And that's the bottom line.
Okay, question for you. With the NBA playoffs going on right now, they're using the NBA playoffs as a way to get the message across to get vaccinated because they have vaccinated sections. So if you go to the game and you've been vaccinated, you can actually sit in a section where you're actually bunched together. But
Right.
the people that have not been vaccinated are actually sitting in a space where they're actually spaced out. Help me understand that.
So I feel you, and and I don't have an answer for that other than the people that are sitting in the unvaccinated areas get a taste of how African Americans have been treated throughout this country.
How about that?
That's funny.
Hey, man, hit the applause. Hey, engineer, hit the applause button on that one. How about that? Oh, boy, I'm going to make a post about that. I like that.
Yeah. Separated.
That is deep.
That's deep. That's deep. Never thought about it like that, but that's deep.
How long did you think on that one, bro, before you said that? You start thinking about that.
Hey,
last
bro.
time?
Nah.
That was a good one there, man. Wow.
So V, with the vaccines that we're currently taking, right? Because with you saying the mutation of the virus and all that, and it can develop to other things. Tell me how safe are we? Because right now, like you just said, people who got vaccinated feel like that's the badge of courage. I'm good now. I mean, what's the effective rate, or is there something else that's coming that can influence that vaccine in a negative way?
That's the thing. Yeah, so that's the thing with any new virus like this. It takes time. It takes time to understand how it moves, how it's transmitted, and so forth and so on. And so we're still, we're probably a year and a half out from just having this virus appear on the scene. Normally, it takes 3 to 4 years to kind of figure all that stuff out. Okay. To get really, really good numbers in terms of, the statistics and stuff like that, in terms of how it's transmitted, and all that kind of stuff. But I will tell you though, is that the vaccines, and I'll be specific with it, the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine, they don't have the live virus in the vaccine. Okay. It's new technology. Well, I shouldn't even say it's new technology. The technology that they're using has been out for a long time. However, the thing about the technology that's surrounding those two viruses or those two vaccines is sort of embedded into some of the cloning and stuff like that. You change a Y chromosome to an X chromosome, and you can depict whether you have a daughter versus a son and that sort of thing. The technology that's centered around those two vaccines goes back to that development and those developments back in the day. And the reason that it didn't get too much, pull back in the day is because people could literally decide whether they're gonna have a son or a daughter or whatever. It's basically it's basically presenting the body with a specific situation that encourages a certain output. And this particular technology has it is groundbreaking. It's not new, but it's groundbreaking to the point where it could change the way we look at virus protection, diseases, and things like that moving forward.
And that's in a positive way?
It's in a positive way.
Okay.
It's in a positive way.
Now,
Yep.
you were specific with the two. So what's the difference between that one and the Johnson & Johnson? Those two and a Johnson & Johnson?
Johnson & Johnson has a strain of the COVID vaccine that's actually a part of the vaccine, just like your normal flu viruses. Flu vaccines. Every flu vaccine has a strand or a chemical composite of the actual flu vaccine that is injected into your body.
So is that why people were getting sick when they were taking that Johnson & Johnson? Is that what caused those
Side effects
like that?
Yeah, it has something to do with it. I'm not qualified to say whether it does or doesn't,
Okay.
but it does have some effect on what has been seen with the people who have got injected with Johnson & Johnson.
Man, it's crazy you said that about the flu because I've been saying that about the flu shot for years. I've been saying, man, I'm not going to take a shot that's going to give me the flu. And there's a possibility that I can still catch the flu later. I've never understood that whole thinking. I didn't know that the Johnson & Johnson actually had a strand of the virus in it, though. But I'm going to tell you that Pfizer kicked my ass. Hey, man.
Got the Moderna,
Boy,
son.
that Pfizer, that
too. I
second
was
shot.
good.
Hey, man, it gave me chills to where my body, it didn't hurt, but I felt like I could feel my arm snap, like snapping out. The chills were so profound, man.
Wow.
So what that should tell you is that your body is having a normal reaction to setting itself up to defend itself against that particular
that's
strain.
what people told me. But I'm gonna tell you, man, exactly 12 hours after I got the shot, I got the shot at 2:30 on a Sunday afternoon. 2:30 Monday morning, I got out the shower and asked my wife, "Did you turn the air conditioner on?" And,
Yeah.
man, for 6-7 hours, I was done. I mean, I broke it, but it was rough.
You know,
It was rough.
it's funny because we have
Yeah.
to think about
And the thing about it, everybody's body is made up of different a different chemical makeup. Okay, so all of this stuff is so scientific, and everybody's body's different. I mean, depending on what you eat and what you drink on a daily basis, it changes your chemical makeup of your body, and so your body can have a different reaction than anybody else. I mean, your chemical reaction is different from anybody else, regardless if you take the vaccine or not, just based on what is in your body at that particular moment in time. It's strictly science, and when we get down to this particular, like the Moderna and the Pfizer, where it's synthetic and it's basically a chemical compound. We get down to the genomics of people's chemicals makeups and just the overall genomics of just science and cells, and I mean that shit is deep, dude.
So
We're speaking Chinese.
we're writing a series for the network, and I've actually got 3 former CDC employees who are consulting with us for the series. And it's funny when I hear, and when I say funny, ironic, listening to these types of conversations, because the first thing, remember the main thing that we're trying to get to as a nation, they were talking about is herd immunity, right? The reason they want to do that because just what the brother just said. Our bodies are all so different, but there are what we have. Everybody has these genetic markers and a genetic makeup that makes us predisposed to either fight something or be susceptible to it. And so you got to go through that process. And you don't know until you do it. That's why and brother, tell me if I'm wrong with this, most vaccines have a live strain of whatever it is they're trying to kill in it. They do that because that's
Correct.
the only way, right? That's the only way for you to actually figure out if the body can then defend it. Because I guarantee you what they're looking at, all of the people who died from COVID, they're looking at it, and remember, that was always one of the big things. They always said people who are predisposed or have predisposed conditions were going to be more at risk. Your older people, people who are excessively overweight. And all you're looking at, and what it is, right, because your body is already losing certain fights. And there's no way for you to create the things that you need to create it. Now, the crazy part about it is when they started with the whole vaccine, I think you said kick back in March, right? Yeah. They said if they inoculated 1 million people a day, that it was going to take a year and a half before we got to herd immunity, which is 75%. And so that's a year and a half that we got to go through the process of getting everybody to get to the point where they know it. Because, see, just like he said, I don't know if y'all heard it. I was in the truck with my boy one day, and he listens to NPR. Listen to NPR religiously. That's all he listens to in the car. And I hadn't even heard about it. We sitting in the car, and they talk about the new strain that came from England that just jumped into the country. It's like nothing like what we've seen of the coronavirus.
And the one from India is worse than that.
See, I hadn't even heard about the one from India. I heard there was one coming out of England. So now you got all this stuff getting happening, and it does make people wonder. Because like you said, people said, oh, we got inoculated. We good. No. And they tell you that you can still get the disease. It's the same thing with the flu shot. Yeah, every year they tell you you can still get the flu, but you get inoculated.
So that's a good point. So I got a question, and Jaron just said this on my question. True or false? He said that the vaccine is not a cure and only gives you 6 months of coverage. Is there any accuracy to that?
So it's too early to know how long that, because like I said, this virus is so new that we're learning every day. So there is no set time frame in terms of how long you're going to be immune to the virus, whether it's transmitting or even, I mean, you can even still catch it. This depends on your chemical makeup of yourself. You could get the vaccine, but it's still a percentage based on whether you're going to actually catch the virus, because you can still catch the virus and you can still actually pass it on to other people. But you may not have a severe case where it deprecates your body to the point where you're going to need some long-term care or even short-term care regarding the virus. So all of that is still being learned.
And those people who are asymptomatic throw a monkey wrench in all of that.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Since you had the floor, best way to put this is, can you dispel some of the myths? And because there's a lot of people out there that are not taking it, and they're coming up with all kind of rumors or putting tracking devices in us. That's how they're gonna. But you laugh, but people actually saying that.
No, we know.
Yeah.
We laugh because we know.
You got the
They
floor.
believe it too.
Try to sell our viewers on go ahead and taking the vaccine.
Yeah. So what it really boils down to is common sense. Like, be realistic about it. Take the politics out of it. And a lot of people, it's hard to take the politics out of it. And a lot of the people who have those different views are hearing it from somebody else, and they're not going out doing their own research. Just go and do some research on the mRNA technology. I mean, when you break it down like that, a lot of people don't even know what the mRNA technology is. But the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine is based on that technology. So it's not about. I mean, it's about yourself, but it's also about your loved ones and being able to be around and interact in a loving manner with your loved ones that may be, have a issue or whatnot where they may be more, sensitive to, their immune system may be at a lowered rate where it makes them more immune to, getting the virus or something happening to them long term. It's, people need to stop being selfish and just think about mankind. I mean, we talk about America is built on, caring for your brother and caring for mankind. Don't be selfish.
And
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I wasn't going to get the shot. Wasn't going to get it because, again, all I could think of was the flu shot and them giving me the flu. So I'm thinking the same thing about the vaccine. And honestly, it was my mother that basically, she didn't outright say it, but she said it, pretty much. I said something about coming home. And then out of the blue, in the middle of the day, she sent me and my wife a text and asked us if we was going to get our shots. So I went to her, I said, you know what? I think she's trying to tell me that I can't come home unless I get this shot.
Smart woman.
And I can dig it. She's had COVID, you know what I'm saying? And she's been vaccinated. So, I can dig it,
And that's the thing, it is that that's a good point, JT. If you know somebody who has had COVID and has recovered from it, talk to them.
Oh.
Because you will get the real coming from them. It won't be secondhand. You talking to somebody who has had COVID and has suffered through it.
Well, that's all I'm gonna say. Somebody that's battled or suffered through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I had it, but I was completely asymptomatic.
I lost a family
Yeah,
member.
and I'm not talking somebody that was asymptomatic.
Yeah.
I'm talking about somebody who has had it and was laid down for a week, 2 weeks, or even in the hospital and came home. Those are the people you need to talk to because you get the real in terms of what the effects and of this virus actually is, because you always want to look at. I mean, I always, at my job, I mean, I have people that report to me. From all 23, 24 of them, I want to hear the worst case scenario. I want to hear the worst case scenario so I can make a judgment, a educated judgment on what it is, what that happy medium is. And then whatever that happy medium is, then you got to figure out, is this important or not based on what that aspect is.
Well, V, as African Americans, what do we carry, maybe like diabetes or different diseases? What have you found that causes a higher death rate or causes you to, for COVID to affect you more? Because I think if the CDC would honestly put it out, hey, if you have this, if you have this, if you have this, these are the effects, if this is how it affects you, I think people would take it a lot more serious instead of people guesstimating. If you just say, hey, look, if you got diabetes, you got to, you need to take the shot, things of that nature.
Right. So African Americans as a whole, from a healthcare perspective, I mean, we're on the lower scale of, basically taking care of ourselves and having things diagnosed and having things diagnosed at an early point. Okay. So that does nothing but negatively impacts African Americans when it comes down to, these types of viruses and these types of diseases, because it just builds up and it amplifies everything that you and your body have been deprived of in terms of ample health care along your entire lifeline, from birth to where you are right now. At some degree, African Americans have been deprived of early detection and ample health care from that perspective.
May I ask a question off camera? That is a true fact. So, do you think that African Americans don't get checked as much because we're the strongest, we're the fastest, we're the most athletic? We don't have a lot of. Do you think that a lot of times somebody else who's sick who have insurance, they got to rush to the doctor, but us, our families have learned natural resources to get you healthy. You know what I mean? But when you get to the, pro athletes and all that, that's a whole different level. But growing up, we don't have them resources to go to the doctor all the time. But we're just as healthy as the white kids. We're stronger. We're the best in gymnastics. We're the best in tennis. We're the best in golf. We're the best in track. We're the best in everything. I mean, so when black kids get a little illness and our black mothers and fathers who've been dealing with all these kind of things for years now say, put this on there, put that on there, we don't go to the doctor as much. So do you think that could have something to do with the numbers that's saying, hey, blacks are not as healthy as, because, when they say you go sign up for your driver license and you sign up for giving up your body parts, organ donors. A lot of black people are considered to be high risk because we have high blood pressure, hypertension, we got all these things. And so they say, okay, even if you do give your body parts, they're not worth anything. So do you think there's some kind of coalition in the fact that we are the most dominant species on the earth right now for us physically and sometimes mentally, also mentally. I say smartness, mentally, everything. We are the race that they're chasing. So stuff that they're giving us, do you think there's something to try to equivalate what's in us to equivalate to what they're doing and not giving us what it takes to even make us more powerful and more smarter and give us what we need to go on and be smarter, more powerful, and lead the world instead of them trying to give us something to equivalent to what they can do to match what we're doing?
You only asked about 17 questions.
I know, Doc.
Right.
That's that good weed. That's that good weed. That's that good weed. That's got a good batch.
But here's the thing. It's the trust. It's the trust factor.
Right.
It's the trust factor. I mean, you can go back to Tuskegee with the syphilis and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you can even equate it to religion. I mean, all of us African Americans were pulled from Africa. Do we even really know what our true religion is from the roots? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sure.
The only thing we know of is what has been presented to us in America. So it's a trust factor. I mean, and after hundreds of years of slavery and things like that, and then Jim Crow and all that kind of stuff, do we really trust the system to provide us with good information and not lead us astray?
What I'm saying to you, brother, let's go back to the sports thing. So you got white athletes that's trying every steroid in the world to match up to what this brother here is running 4.2. He lifting, he doing 225 36 times. So you got a white athlete that's trying all these steroids to get there, and the brother's already there. So they telling us there's something wrong with us, but they're trying to get to where we are. So I'm saying to you, in all this technology that's going on, are they trying to match us? Are they not trying to? Where's the doctor that say?
Are you asking the shot is like an experiment? Is that what is?
Not even about the shot.
I think you just
So,
talking about.
so what are you saying? I'm
just regular health care. I think that's what he's talking about.
I'm saying,
But
Bruh,
I do believe that we.
Bro,
do,
I feel you. I'm sorry, JT, but bro, I feel you because back in the day, I used to run like a 10, 6, 100 meters. I used to get in the blocks talking trash, and I would get in the blocks and be like, "Hey, bro, which one of y'all coming in second?"
that's right.
Straight up. But I feel you. Go ahead, JT. I'm sorry, man. I digress.
No, I do believe that we, because of, like you said, back in the day, we didn't have, a lot of us didn't have access to just go to the emergency room. There wasn't urgent cares back in them days. Just to go to the emergency room, we didn't have that access. So we figured it out. Twist your ankle, you know what? Stay off of it.
Right.
You know, hurt. You know, your finger went the other way. You popped it back into place, and you put some tape around it to the other finger. Right. I do believe that some of that has carried on deep within us that keeps us feeling that we're okay, and we're not going to the doctor. Like black men, we don't get physicals as much as we should. Especially when they start talking about after you 40, they go in places they ain't supposed to go. Where they gotta go, but we don't feel they're supposed to go. So that really, I'm good. I don't need to. I'm one of them. Right? I won't go to the doctor. My back was hurting so bad last week. My wife getting on my case every day, and I'm like, nah, we're going on a trip. I don't want to go and they tell me something's wrong and I can't go on the trip. So once we get back, I'll go. Yeah. And I do believe that is part of it.
I kicked a piece of wood yesterday, and I think I broke my toe. But I told my wife, it's still wiggly. She said, you go to the doctor. I said, no, it's fractured, but it ain't broke.
You know what?
Right.
Yeah,
Right, and that's the thing though, is I mean, I know how old I am. I know how old JT and Lo is, and I kind of get a picture how old the guys are on the panel right here. And I can hear, and I can kind of get a tone from how old you are, brother. But the thing is, we probably one generation or two generations away from men who don't show anything emotionally, physically. I'm good.
Right.
That's all our daddies.
Yeah.
Right.
One generation.
Exactly.
Very true. Very true.
And you know what?
And I feel that's carried on within us.
Hey, but somebody there living 88 years.
JT, let me
92
give you
years.
the point that he was just making, and I think that we gotta realize. I'm gonna say something that got Jimmy the Greek fired. People have to remember, we were bred for over 100 years in this country, meaning that they took the strongest men and the strongest women and had them mate.
Absolutely.
This was a reality for black people in this country. And then remember, they didn't have all of the fancy chemical stuff. They just understood that we were already genetically superior to them. I was a trainer for 7 years. Black people hold more lean muscle on their body than white people do. White people hold more lean fat. I mean, hold more fat than they do
comparable
doing stuff.
to mating dogs. Think about it.
It is. It's just like people who do pits.
Yeah.
Your pit bulls
it is.
mostly.
Seriously.
It's the same thing. So when that happened to us over 100 years, and see that's what people have to realize when you talk about stuff like genetics and how things change. One of the things that we keep failing to remember, this is where ancient history, where the Great Migration came in, and why you can go back and look at every culture in this world and find dark-skinned people at the beginning of the culture that they were there. Because it takes hundreds of years for those genetics that happen in different places to start affecting you. And based on where you go, it changes the melanin content in your body. And that's what they do. That's why people in Asia and in China, you know, you go back and look at the earliest China. That's why it's funny to me. Like I'm watching, I'm into the sci-fi stuff and all that. And they got this Yasaka on in Netflix talking about the first black samurai.
Yes.
Like he was the only one.
Yes.
Like, do you know the first samurais was black people, period? If you really go back. And an Asian geneticist, I think it was back in 2015 or 2016, who was trying to prove that the Asian genome was the oldest in the world, went through 10 years of research just to find out that the Asian genome is a derivative of the African genome.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Hannibal.
And so they understand that and they know that. There are certain things, like I say, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a certain extent too. And I like certain things you can tell on TV. And I'm pretty sure my boy who works with the CDC has seen the TV show they used to do. It was actually based here in Atlanta called Quarantine. That was the one that came out right before the pandemic. The pandemic hit. I don't know how many of y'all remember that.
Put that big fence up. Yeah, I remember.
Exactly. Then they had one right before that called The Last Ship.
Yes, sir.
And I told people, I said, if y'all look at these shows and realize that it was the last three, and then Fox actually did another one about the vampire thing. There was actually, I think they based it here in Atlanta too. So I don't remember what it was. But the crazy thing is that as you're looking at these, the cure or the person that was able to withstand all of these. 2 of them was a black woman. The other one was two black girls, and another one was a black boy. We have natural defenses in our body. That's like I'm one of those people. I'm a naturalist, whatever you call it. I don't take any over-the-counter medications. Never gotten a flu shot. Never had the flu. Don't necessarily plan on taking this unless I get into a situation where going to see certain relatives and they're just like, listen, then I'll think about it. But it has nothing to do with me being worried about what's in it, because I understand what's in it. But I'm also one of those people who believes that our bodies are naturally designed to fight off certain things.
Now, see, that was going to be my next question. I was going to ask Viande about this, but you just
That's
said
true. Our bodies are. But here's the thing, though, man, is that our bodies have to be exposed to certain things to fight off those aspects. And so when you look at like some of these different tribes and things like that are like in South America that are like enclosed and they haven't had any interaction with outside people and things like that. That's one of the things where if they come in contact with people from the outside world that may have a simple cold, it'll kill their whole village, man.
That's what happened to the Native Americans.
Now, but let me ask you this, because I was on set one time, and was sitting around. When you're on set, you basically sit until it's time for you to go and do your thing. And I heard a guy not saying exactly what you were saying, but he was saying something like that. And I get it. We have something in us that has natural defenses. But there's been a lot of black people that's been sick. And died. So when you say that type of things to impressionable people, it makes them feel the same way when they're not.
Well, and see, that's one of the things. That's what when I say it, you notice what I said. I said I'm one of those people.
But yeah, you're one of them.
But see, here's the thing about
and
that.
Man, Jaron on here is another one, because he said he ain't taking a shot. Period. Go ahead.
Yeah. But the thing is, again, it's the situations that we talked about earlier. There's still genetically, people can be predisposed to certain things. And so, it's like I said, it's a situation. And again, it's funny because when I told y'all I was in my holiday writing, I was actually writing the show in the series that we're talking about that's dealing with this same exact thing today. So it's funny that this becomes the topic, because that's what we're doing is you're building it around people understanding that you do have, some people are just going to be genetically more apt to get sick. Like I've got a friend that I've known since college. She is sickly. Like she will catch and get anything. But guess what? She's still alive. She gets the vaccine. She does all that stuff. But that still tells me something about her immune system. Although she gets sick, her body has a level of strength of fighting things off that is abnormal.
But I know healthy people that's catching this thing. The thing that I'm saying is when you say that out loud to impressionable people, may start feeling, oh shoot, you're right. I'm a black man. I'm a black woman. I got defense.
And on top of that, JT, but because she's sickly, and if you don't get the vaccine, you still feel what Vianney said earlier. You don't feel like that would be a selfish move to still be around her?
No, that's what I said earlier. I said if I have people in my life like her who have that situation, and they'll say to me, "Hey, I need you to get the vaccine because I've had these reactions or whatever."
Right.
I will do that. That's why I said I will consider it.
But my point is, you will consider it. But my point is, a lot of people who feel that way, but are they going to consider that? You know what I'm saying? Are they going to consider the other people? Although you may not want to do it, you, Jerry, y'all may not want to do it. But what about the people that you may encounter that could be sickly?
And
you're now putting them in jeopardy.
No, and that's what I said.
Exactly. Now hold on. I'll give you an example. Okay, so I'm not gonna tell y'all. Well, y'all probably know where I work, but we got an office. Okay, probably got 400 people in this office. They like on 3 or 4 floors. There's one lady on one floor who is allergic to chocolate. And I'm talking to the point where if she smells chocolate, you better call the ambulance.
Wow.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get out, and whatever the floor that she works on, as soon as you get off that floor on the elevator, there's a big ass sign right there that says, "No chocolate allowed."
Wow.
So when you look at it from that perspective, then you have to think about your fellow man and woman in terms of making sure that you do the right thing.
Yeah, man.
V, but can you speak more on like in the African American community, because of our diets, particularly in certain segments, our diets are so bad and so many people are overweight, which lends to breathing problems. That's why we have a high death rate, because remember when certain members of our community were saying that it was a plant, this is something against us. First, certain segments of our community said we can't catch it
Yeah,
because
we got
black.
melanin.
Then,
Bruh, nah, but
then they're
but
planting
bruh,
it for us.
here's the thing though.
Yeah.
As African Americans, you know, in the slavery days and even 1-2 generations back, what did we eat? We ate the scraps, and it was the scraps that caused us like high blood pressure and just all kinds of crazy stuff, man.
That we're
You
still
know, and that we're still in, and cholesterol and stuff like that. That stuff is, I mean, my great grandparents, my grandparents, and my dad ate all kinds of pig feet, fucking pig ears.
From the rooter to
And-
the tutor, that's what they call it.
From the rooter to the tutor.
That's what they call it.
And that's the thing. That kind of stuff, when you talk about cholesterol and things like that, that stuff is passed through your blood. Okay? And where do you get your blood from? You get your blood from your parents.
Generational.
Generations.
That's right.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this question. For the CDC, for example, and government buildings you're aware of, have they made it mandatory for you all to get vaccinated, or is it still optional?
No, it's still optional, bro. And it'll remain optional. They, you know, so and I imagine that every business at some point will do an assessment, you know, because you get into when you talk about mandating vaccines and stuff like that. There's a certain level of responsibility, liability that has to come along with that. And so each business and each government entity is going to have to kind of do that evaluation. But I can tell you from a CDC perspective, you know, there's all kind of surveys and stuff like that has gone out. I mean, and it's really curved to the point where, okay, we're maximum telework because of COVID. Okay, how has maximum telework improved your performance? How has it improved your employee performance? What kind of additional training can we get you guys from a manager's perspective, or even from an employee perspective, to kind of help in the whole telework aspect? So this whole COVID-19 thing, and it's not just from a government perspective, but from just the overall, you know, industry or business perspective, each company is going to have to do an evaluation based on that and how productive their employees can be if their job can be done remotely. And they're going to have to make that assessment, and it's going to be a trade-off.
But let me ask this question. So based on that, now we know that there's a set of shots that all kids have to have even to go to school. you had to have it as kids growing up, smallpox and a few other of those shots that are somebody just tried to call those mandatory shots. Now, you said earlier in this conversation that this thing is going to mutate, it's going to, it's a virus. So, and it's, initially it was compared to the flu because, that used to be my early argument was, well, look, that's the flu's cause. And, until that thing surpassed the flu by bunches, And I was like, whoa, okay, this thing a little bit more serious than I anticipated, So futuristic wise, do we not see that if this thing is something, because y'all said earlier India and you said another country and all these different things coming in, do you see that could be something that's at some point become mandated? Or do you think, this is going to continue to be optional knowing the repercussions? And I know like Jaron said, well, it's a 90%, 98% survival rate, but I don't know if it's 98% in the black community. I think it's overall survival rate, but do you see this could be something that would be mandated with kids coming up? I know they just said the Moderna they just passed that they feel it's extremely effective for 12 to 17-year-olds now. And what do you think future-wise?
That's a good question, Lo. And I think that's to be determined. And the difference, and I'll say this: the difference between COVID-19 and the flu is that when there is a certain percentage of people that will have long-term effects and long-term ailments that's associated with COVID-19 as opposed to the flu. And that percentage is higher. Okay. That's kind of really what the difference is. And only studying this virus and kind of putting additional, just understanding it more will kind of flush that out. Now, I'll tell you this though, just kind of going back to something like that, there's also a trust factor from the general population. Because some kids may, because they don't want to get those vaccines that are mandatory to go to school, that may be homeschooled. And I'll tell you this, in certain countries, over the past 5 years or so, a lot of people didn't know this, but there was active outbreaks of like smallpox in certain countries overseas.
We don't hear a lot of stuff that's going on.
You don't hear a lot about that. Okay. There's been certain other diseases that's popped up in Afghanistan and other countries overseas where they have been eradicated, meaning there's not an active case whatsoever in the United States, but they're popping up overseas. And a lot of that comes from trust, because a lot, and I tell you, it kind of goes back to the wars and everything like that has occurred in Afghanistan, Pakistan, 9/11, all that kind of stuff, where you have an American influence that is now kind of pushed in there because of the situation with everything that's going on, and a lot of those people don't trust. They don't trust. We had people knocking door to door trying to educate those people on getting certain vaccines that could destroy their community, and they didn't want to hear it. because they didn't trust the United States. Period. And because of that, that's one of the reasons why you saw it. What 2 or 3 years? Well, 3, 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, where you had Ebola pop up, and you had some of these people airlifted out to come back to the United States with Ebola. Ebola hasn't been in the United States in forever. But that was one of the things that kind of erupted out of that whole situation with trust in healthcare in the United States.
You know, there's two things I want to say real quick. When you talk about, though, the mandatory, when you talk about those things, one of the things you always got to remember, there's always a way out. Because even with those, you can use a religious stand to not get it. And you still have the ability that your children will still be able to get into schools. So you'll always have those outs with it. And I don't know what the time frame is, but one of the other things, man, and it's something that I've been noticing over the past few days I've been out, the impact that this thing is having on the economics of this country is exactly why stuff is changing. Dude, I rode by a McDonald's, a Captain D's,
They don't have enough
somewhere
employees.
else, trying to get employees to the point where they're giving away iPhones,
Sure.
$100 service thing, signing up fees. And this is the funny part because people were talking about if you go to $15 an hour, these companies are going to do this. Now that people are not even going out, what are they starting to realize? More people are actually ordering food and getting it delivered to the point they don't have that's the problem. They don't have enough people to make the food at the places. The stuff is getting going. So this is going to have an impact economically.
It's having
on the those. I don't even want, because all of them aren't necessarily essential workers, but those mainstream workers is what I want to call them.
Amen.
People who make $10 and under an hour. But that's going to change that entire system of how that is happening now, because these people are having to get out there and get engaged in it. But it's interesting. When we talk about all these different diseases, like the brother said, it's like, we got places that have been isolated from all these different areas that don't have these types of diseases and don't have these types of interactions. And like I said, I saw somebody put it in, I kind of mentioned it earlier real briefly when I said, well, that's what actually happened to the indigenous American population. And, that's why
that wasn't accidental.
Huh?
With the American Indians.
No, right. That's my point. Yeah, and that's my point, because a lot of people don't realize that prior to that point in American history, if you look at most Native Americans, guess who they look like? They look like y'all two, sitting here on the panel. They did. I mean, no, you two. No, there was. I mean, me and that brother about the same shade, but I'm saying we were darker. They didn't look like the Native Americans look like now. There were more of us that were here than were actually brought here. That's another reason why the slaves and the Native Americans joined together so quickly when all of the stuff started jumping out. But again, we're in this revisionist history society, so those are not going to be the stories and the things that you hear about in the school system. They're not going to tell you about that. That's how a lot of black slaves, Africans, ran off and went to live with the Native Americans because they fit in. And, you could see what they looked like. And so we've got to get to the point, though, man, with this thing where we get people. It's always got to be a personal thing, because the moment you start forcing people to do something, you're going to have violent rebellions, especially something to this nature. But like I think my brother did make the greatest point, is that we've got to consider those. We've got to consider our neighbor. We've got to consider the people that we're going to be around, the people who are our family, not just our family, but our friends and people who we deal with on a regular basis, that if you're going to do this, you've got to determine whether or not you're going to get this and why is it important to you. But we can't just be selfish in the sense of saying, I'm just not going to do it. Some people don't want to go through some of that stuff, man.
Man, I went to Crystal the other night. I was mad, boy. That breakfast burger that they got with the egg and the burger and the bacon? And the sign said, we do not have, Crystal's is 24 hours. Bro, it was closed. It was 11:30. It was closed.
People shutting down. Oh yeah, these businesses
closed.
they don't have people to work. That's another thing. Like I said, they do not have people to working right now.
I don't think I've eaten at Crystal since West Georgia. But go ahead.
I don't eat the Crystal. Them onion burgers. That's what I call them.
V, I got another one for you.
Love
Hey,
to go there right now.
hey, Lo, I had to catch a sack full probably about 2-3 months ago, dog. I was driving on the way to the crib and I was like, bruh.
Tell you, man. Give me a Crystal breakfast burger.
So this is just to put it out there. What do you think the chances are if people aren't getting inoculated? And in some areas, because I travel, so I do a lot of fishing, and you can go to places in South Georgia where nobody's wearing a mask. You can go in and this is before they said stop wearing it. You could go in a business and it would be like if there's 50 people in there, there's 50. The only person in there with a mask would be me. So, if it continues to morph like the Indian variant that's coming over now, and everybody starts getting inoculated in like basically the city, and once it morphs 3, 4, 5 times, wouldn't the effect on people that haven't had any inoculation be like tenfold? If a variant hits them that's already mutated 4 or 5 times, they're not getting hit with just regular COVID anymore, Arvin.
Absolutely, and it's going to affect that population of people where it is going to thrive, and that's the sad part about it, is because you have everybody out there. Well, I shouldn't say everybody, but you have a population of people out there who say, I'm not going to get this vaccine, blah blah blah, but they don't understand the implications of not getting the vaccine, because this thing could evolve into something like an Ebola, where that should have killed your ass within 7 days.
So I just invited Sunshine to the panel because she's one of the people, like my man Jaron online, who doesn't believe in the vaccine. I just wanted to. So we talking about mask on, mask off, vaccine. Tell us why you feel the vaccine is. I don't think we have to grab some.
So, can you hear me on here?
Mic check good.
Speak up.
1, 2.
She good?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so well.
Say it with your chest.
Well, basically, I don't believe in the vaccine because, first of all, like, all vaccines, like anything that was helped or used to create a cure for something worldly like Ebola, SARS, this quote-unquote coronavirus, it's not made for us to intake. Our bodies automatically heal itself. That's why you get a scar, that shit mends and binds together. Can I curse?
It's a little late, but yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
we cable ready.
Yeah, you say what you want to say.
Yeah, so why would you voluntarily compromise your body like that if it's already doing what it was made to do? When God put everything on this earth, you know, because in reality this is a spiritual war, and when he put everything on this earth, the plants, the trees, us, the animals, the water, the fire, the elements, like, it was no mistake in that. What we do, melanin is so powerful. That's the main key of it all. But whenever we breathing out oxygen, first of all. And that is intake, like the trees intake the oxygen, right? So what the trees do? No, the trees, excuse me. I'm a little under influence.
What?
She's saying that the
For
other way
real?
around.
This
I
not
never
you,
would
man?
have guessed.
This not just you.
We breathe out carbon dioxide.
No, but like, yeah, so we breathe in the oxygen from the trees, but we breathe out carbon dioxide. And having a mask on, you breathing out CO2 is like you lowering your immune system off rip. Like, that just don't make sense to me. Why would they mandate something like that? Why not be so, since y'all got all this money, be so smart into fucking giving us hazmat suits so we won't breathe in all the particles from the bullshit chemtrails that they have up in the fucking sky every day. I'm sorry.
You loosen up quick.
Right.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Okay, so you get a muscle ache, you get cramps, whatever. Do you take Advil or Tylenol?
No.
She said no. She said it really low.
No, I do not.
No? Okay.
No.
Oh, that's cool. But here's the thing. I can understand both sides of the fence. And the reason I say that is because if anybody has not had an opportunity to go to any part of Africa to just visit or whatever, you should do it. That should be on your bucket list. Okay. I fortunately have had the opportunity to go there several times, and I can understand exactly what you're talking about, sister, because the native Africans who still continue to live the way that just natively, I would say.
That was originated to live.
Yeah, you know, I've had the opportunity to talk to a lady who was 60 years old. She looked like she was probably 40, 45. But she was one of 7 wives. Okay? And she pointed out everything in terms of natural healing capabilities, things like that. And I mean, I asked the question. I'm like, hey, your husband, he laying up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you Friday, and so. I mean, what's up with like the sexually transmitted diseases and stuff like that? Because they don't have no condoms. They can afford condoms. And she was like, okay, for syphilis, you see that tree right there? We take those leaves and we do this and do that. For syphilis, for chlamydia, there's a leaf right there that we take this and we do this and do this. And those are our ailments. Those are our remedies for that kind of stuff.
Right. That's your medicine. And your medicine.
Right. So I honestly, I understand where you're coming from, and I can see both sides of the story.
Man, she looked young because she only had to do 1/7 of the work that most wives do.
But you know what? Here's something that we got to remember too, man. When we're talking about these quote unquote cures, or when we're talking about these different treatments for whatever it is, most of those things started out from homeopathic or natural things, and then they pushed it forward to accelerate. Their goal was, when they started doing that, let's accelerate the growth of, or the results of it.
Right.
So they started adding. That's when they started going through the process of adding stuff in. It's funny. The brother he asked her the question about doing stuff. Like I said, I don't take any over-the-counter medications for headache or anything. I had one time that I had to take a muscle relaxer. It was just because I had promised somebody I was going to be something, and I did not have the time to let my body go through its natural process. Even when I took it, and it did what it was supposed to do, it made my body feel uneasy in other ways. And that's one of the reasons I said, okay, you know what, I did what I need to do for this, but I can't do this anymore. And so I would just have to do things. In the process of understanding that your body is designed to do what it's supposed to do, the biggest challenge we have is that it normally still takes time for your body to do what it needs to do. And that's one of the things that, especially in today's society, that we don't have. everything is you got to get it now. You've got to be ready now. You've got to be fixed now, because it's all about us moving forward at a quick
Speed.
pace.
Right, speed. No
We don't
patience.
we don't take the time to let our bodies heal. We don't take the time to do stuff. And like you said, the other piece to it is what we take in, what we eat. Look, you're at the CDC. Have you? I'm sure you talked about going to Africa. I don't know if you've been to any other countries. When you look at the foods that are allowed in this country, that they do not even allow people to eat in other countries,
Like,
it will amaze you at some of the products that we have here that are like ultra prominent on our shelves. That people in other countries are like, hell no, they don't let us, we don't, what is this? Because the stuff that's in our food adjusts all of those chemical reactions that our bodies have.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, bruh. But I've been to Africa and I've seen 18-inch carrots that are as orange as you want to even see. I mean, like when you see orange, you're like, damn, that carrot is orange. For sure. And that damn thing is almost 2 feet long. So I feel you, bro. And it's all naturally.
Our foods are
grown.
mostly genetically modified in this country.
right, everything you get, cereals, snacks, everything.
No,
Food.
even organic. It's funny. I tell
Organic.
people, I say, when you hear the word organic, you still have to dig deeper to see exactly what that organic means. 'Cause normally, if you're not seeing it farmed and worried about the pesticides, 'cause you got to look again. When they start putting pesticides, they allow some things to be
Roundup.
considered organic to get
Monsanto.
pesticides so that they don't lose the crops. But the other
Yeah,
piece to that, go ahead, brother.
No, I was about to say the food is dramatically different.
Yeah.
I mean, even when I go over there, it's like it's certain things you want to eat, certain things you don't want to eat, and it's all based on the food that you're used to ingesting in the United States. I mean, we had a guy that his name. Well, I'll just put his name out there. His name was Alwande. Alwande was a smart dude, and I mean, I'm talking about smart to the point where we had computer monitors that we would ship over there from the United States over there. And so their electrical system is totally different.
Yeah.
So they operate off 240 volts. We operate off, standard 120 volts here. And so there's a switch on the back of every monitor where not monitors today because they auto adjust, but monitors back in the 90s, you had to flip the switch to where it either do 240 or it did 120. And so a lot of monitors we seen over there, them jokers would not flip the switch and it would burn the monitor out.
Yep.
This dude would figure out how to fix them joints. Okay. He would get his solder, he get his soldering tools out and everything. He would fix it. Alwandi would fix them jokers, boy. But we had Alwandi, and he was a valuable dude. So we brought him to the U.S. to get him some training on some new IT technologies and stuff like that, so he could be helpful, deploying the stuff in country and that sort of thing. Dude, it wasn't 3 or 4 days. I was going to meet Alwandi at the emergency room because he was constipated because of the food. His system just was not
set up to eat. Yeah.
It would not ingest. It would not process the food that we have here based on the food they have in Africa, because in Africa, I mean, it's the same way going in reverse. I mean, every time I go over there, I mean, I get an egg and some sausage. That sausage patty, or actually it ain't even a sausage patty, it's a sausage link. They don't even have sausage patties. They have sausage links. And them sausage links ain't processed the same. Yep. And that shit run right through me.
I mean, it's as simple as here, you want to see meet a guy that's done a 5 to 10 year bid and look at his skin. Dude, they look young when they come out of prison because they're not out here eating most of the processed foods that's out here. The food now, I ain't saying that food is good for you, but they don't get a lot of this because they don't get the
fast
best.
food.
They don't get the best of the best in there. You know, most stuff is made from powder. The eggs is made from powder, and you know they don't get a lot of the chemicals and all of that type of stuff. And that's why, you know, other than the scars that they get while they're in there, they usually come out and they look younger than what they actually are, because of, like you said, because of the food that they're taking in prison is different than what we eat out here every day.
And you know, one of the things that could help a lot
So
of
what do you
people-
think? So which water do you think is better for you? The water you get out of the faucet in your house or bottled water?
Not well water in my house.
I think the water out of the well is the best of all.
I agree with you.
But now
the water you get out of the faucet is regulated. The water you get out of a bottled water,
Isn't.
that shit ain't regulated.
Right.
But you know, I was about to say something about
That's why
water.
it has different tastes.
When you different waters have different tastes.
Right.
One of the things I tell people, I say, you know, one of the things that we do have to realize is that we do need to drink. If you just drinking more water will change your life. One of the things that I do, and I got to start back now. I haven't done it the last 2 months, but I was trying to get back into it. Is the first 3 days of every month, all I would do is drink water and eat green vegetables. And it flushes your system. It takes 72 hours for you to flush things out of your system. And that's what I said. It's 72 hours, 3 days. If you go that, and it will help with your body's regulation of different things so much.
On a daily basis, it'll help increase your memory. It'll help increase
So
your physical.
Just 3. That's why I tell people just 3 days. If you do it, like I said, that's but the first. And I usually try the first 3 days of everybody. And it's funny because it actually started that way because it started during 4th of July, and I was like, well, that's the 4th, so I can go to the barbecue on the 4th. I'll be good. And do something. Now I don't eat a lot of pork or anything like that, but it was just a matter of doing it. But when I started doing it regularly, I started realizing the change in my body. I started looking at the difference and feeling the difference just from that 3 days out of every month, not drinking just water and eating green vegetables. Because again, like I said, they're flushing your system.
And the thing about it, distilled water is probably, I would say this, distilled water is probably one of the best waters you could drink because it's been boiled and all of the distillates and all of the just the overhead of making that water has been basically freed of that water. Distilled water and any kind of water that has any kind of ionic content,
the expensive water.
Those are the best waters you can drink.
I was going to ask you because that's actually something I used to do that I want to get back in the habit of doing. Even all of the water that I drank from home, I would literally boil all of my water and then just put it in the, like, cause I like room, I don't drink a lot of cold water. I drink room temperature. So I'll take it, put it in a container and just sit it there and drink, and left my water room temperature. But that's why I literally used to boil all of my water. Like I wouldn't even buy it and stuff. But somebody told me the same thing. They said distilled water is usually the best one to buy if you're going to get it.
Reminds me of a thing I saw the other day on, I don't know if y'all were watching Practical Jokers, but these guys are crazy. But they did a little test on these people at a restaurant, and they had a guy dressed up as a waiter, and he said, this is natural spring water from the mountains of such and such. And he tested them, and people was like, oh, yeah, I can tell the difference in this flavor. This is this. And he brought out another one. He said, this is from a country such and such, from their mountains and da-da-da-da. Yeah, this has a unique taste to it. Did another one from mountains of such and such, such. Yeah. All that was tap water.
Right.
All that was tap water, and they finally told me, man, and they were paying $20 for a glass of water. They said, man, y'all pay for this is all tap water, and they tell me all the different tastes, different flavors, different.
But you know what that tells you? They don't drink a lot of water.
They say they drink water. They say they drink water all the time, but they buy
that's what a lot of people
water.
do. They lie about it.
Yeah.
What that tells you is that your mind. What that tells you that your mind, the brain is a powerful thing.
Brain's a powerful thing.
And they tricked them by tricking their brain by telling them it was from someplace else. That's what it tells you. That a little bit.
And you know what? Anytime we go overseas to travel, the common element in any of that is drink water that's been boiled and you're good to drink to eat anything that's been dropped in some hot grease. Those are the two things.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're in any question about anything in terms of what to drink and what to eat when you go overseas, make sure that water been boiled and make sure whatever you eating has been dropped in some hot grease.
Oh, that's a miracle. Drop something in some hot grease and
So V, being from the CDC and seeing all these things, man, and having insight on this stuff, when you seeing people with the mask on, mask off thing, how comfortable are you? How comfortable are you with your mask on, or do you still, or your mask on at all times still, or I mean, where is your comfort level?
So for me, anytime I go in a closed space amongst other people who I don't know, even though I've been vaccinated, I still wear my mask because I care for my fellow man. You know,
Care for what?
because I care for my fellow man or woman that I may come in contact with. That I'm protected, but I still may be a carrier of the virus.
right.
Okay. So
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, that's I still do that, and that's just for me because I mean, for me, I mean I've been working for the government 23, 24 years. I took an oath to the Constitution, not to who's sitting in the White House, not to any of that other stuff. I took an oath to protect and to serve my country. And so, based on the science, and I believe in science because I'm an IT guy, okay? So I've had to take all kinds of math and all kinds of science. I believe in the numbers. That's just where I come from, and that's where that's my upbringing in terms of my profession. Okay, I'm gonna take a look at the numbers and I'm gonna weigh the options based on those numbers because you know I believe in probability, but that's just that's the education that I have.
Statistics. Do you?
I do believe in statistics. I made an A in stats. And I made an A in quantitative methods.
Hated those classes.
I barely made it out of them. That's why I had some problems, I guess.
So I mean, and this is just me personally. That's just what I believe in because that is my profession. That's my craft. Okay. Other people you can have your own opinion, differences of opinion, whatever. That's just you. But I'm just speaking, you know, not just from a CDC perspective.
To their own opinion.
But I'm speaking from my own opinion and my own beliefs based on my craft, statistics, quantitative methods, marketing, all of that shit.
And
science.
So if you believe in science, then you should believe that carbon dioxide that you're ingesting after you breathe it out is lowering your immune system, which means it's risking your life even more to catch anything else other than just that virus. Right?
Speak on that.
I'm with you. And it's part of global warming, baby.
Right, and global warming.
It's all and all that boils up. Absolutely. And I mean, I'm a big picture guy too. So when I look at different things, I tend to look at the overarching things, and then I figure out all the details that kind of intertwine to figure out what that big picture looks like. And so for me, when you talk about those types of things, it's about global warming and where the Earth is actually going from when you talk about carbon dioxide and that sort of thing. It does have an effect in terms of your body and your immune system and the things you're susceptible to. But there's a bigger picture from a global warming perspective where it ain't nothing nice.
You heard of Planet Nubaru, Planet X? You heard of that before?
I have not heard of that, baby.
So it's basically.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to offend. First of all, I don't want to offend you by calling me baby, but that's just part of who I am. let's get that. I don't want to be like, somebody that's being accused of some sort of harassment or nothing like that. That's just a figure of speech when I approach you like that.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm good.
Okay, cool.
We're good. But I'm just like laying out what I've learned. But basically, Planet X, or Nubaru as they like to call it, was found like some years ago, and it's basically a ball of fire. That planet, like, it's just one planet close that's orbiting with us with the rotation of our Milky Way, and it's like right there next to Earth, behind the sun. And at nighttime, like, you can see it, they're already being able to see like flashes of red light in other countries like Germany and everywhere else. I mean, not everywhere else, because I haven't personally seen it, but I have had a friend who saw like the flashing lights. Sometimes it's like green, blue, red, whatever. But the point is, it's so close that it's changing our atmosphere as well. So, which is like in addition to global warming, but that's just a sign. Like, if y'all know anything about the Book of Revelations, like, that's lined up in all of that. This is all spiritual. Like, I may sound a little cuckoo.
No, are you a big believer and kind of interpreter of like what do you call it? The signs. Like, everybody got a sign.
Oh, well, astrology?
Astrology, yeah, astrology.
A big believer, I wouldn't say a big believer, but I do believe in the rotation of like the stars having meaning with coinciding with.
You a big believer in the retrograde and stuff like that?
Retrograde, yeah.
Yeah.
Retrograde.
You know,
a little bit. I didn't even know about that until like a year and a half ago. So, but it's not about that really.
But you want to know something that's funny about that? The fact that he brings up those different types of things. It goes back to something he said earlier in the conversation. One of the things that we have to realize is that our bodies are chemicals. Right. They are mostly chemicals. So you're right, and that includes you get into things with as far as electricity. You get into frequencies, exactly. All of this stuff is real on how it impacts us. The problem is most people your average person doesn't understand it. Yeah. So they look at it as witchcraft. They look at it as all these different things, where it's an actual real science to why some people have certain attitudes during certain times of the year, or why they feel certain kind of ways, why their bodies, those are all chemical reactions. Right. Exactly. That is your body reacting to certain things that nature is putting out there. Right. So we've got to be able to understand it and stop looking at this stuff as science fiction and witchcraft, and look at it for what it is the science of it.
Right.
Bro, that's a good point, bro, because me and my girl had talked about putting together an app that you can put on your phone, and we are targeted towards like women. Okay. So women can kind of record, what their feelings were on every day. And then using like, just statistics and that sort of thing to kind of figure out and to sort of predict, okay, next week I'm going to feel like this.
Exactly.
And so they can have some sort of self-awareness that, okay, I'm going to feel shitty next week, so maybe I should lay low and not have much interaction with other people so I don't make their day feel shitty.
Or change what I'm eating to adjust the
Right.
chemical balance. About let me say
Like
this,
some
and
people
I don't
can
know.
eat meat and some people can't.
Can't eat right. What I do, I gotta say this because I don't know if I told this story here before, and this is something that's gonna help every brother in the world out. Okay, when I learned this, it literally changed my life. This is when my son was being born. The doctor that was the pediatrician or whatever she was, because my ex had some problems at the time, so she had to go to an actual doctor, was telling us about a study that she had been a part of for 5 years, right? They had been studying the brains of men and women and looking at the impacts and how the brain actually impacted emotions and how we deal with things. Because we always hear women are emotionalists and men aren't as emotional. Guess how many chemicals women have in their brain that regulate emotion? Take a guess on the number.
A lot.
112.
100.
Not that many. But
89. I said 112.
he said 112. It's 33. It's 33. 33 for women. Guess how many men have?
5.
3.
33 is a lot compared to men.
And right, that's what I was about to say. It's 33 is still a lot because she said, here's the thing that you have to realize. She was like, the average woman has to go through the processing of 75% of those chemicals every time they have some sort of emotional reaction. And you wonder why men can have a knockdown, drag-out fight with one of their boys on Monday, and Wednesday they at the sports bar laughing, giggling like ain't nothing happened. Because we only have 3. So it's not, and this is they studied for 5 years going through identifying all of those chemicals in the brain. And I say, when you realize that these women, yeah, they are emotional, and that's because that's what their bodies do. Their bodies, and you wonder, first off, why would a woman have to have that many? Well, that's one of the things, she carries children. And so she's passing on things that she has to have. She has to have an abundance of lots of things to pass on to the children that she's going to be having. And the doctor was saying that if you think about that process, it changes how you look at it, because now you're not looking as we do. I mean, I know I had done it in the past. I sit back and be like, damn, why is she still mad about some shit that happened 3 months ago that I done forgot about? How was that your girl? You completely forgot about something.
The problem
Is she still
didn't
mad?
get resolved.
I ain't need no doctor.
Right,
to tell me
and
that.
those
that it's not
emotions,
resolved.
and those,
She may not
and those
have
emotions,
processed
I didn't need no doctor to tell me that. I mean, if you've
and
been
those
around women enough,
emotions-
you should know they can have a lot
Yeah.
of emotions. I mean, it's
and
a fact.
and those
But it's
emotions
science.
can
Yeah, but to
and
me,
those
the
emotions can
scientific-
vary.
scientific
They
fact
can
behind
vary based on whether a woman smoked weed on Tuesday, have sex on Thursday,
All of that stuff
and
impacts it.
and have an orgasm on Sunday, because she may not have an orgasm on Wednesday.
I was just about to say, a lot of folks don't realize, because it was funny when I got married to figure out how many chicks weren't having orgasms. When we having these conversations and stuff, and finding out they do that, and dudes wonder why they wives so pissed off. And I'm like, dude, you need to make sure your girl getting hers, because you don't realize what that release does for them. You don't realize the things that open up and all that emotional stuff, man. It's so much stuff that we can tie back to science that we just don't take the time to understand or process.
Right, to research. We'd rather look at something.
Somebody
some
YouTube
drama,
video.
Right, on YouTube. Or,
And regular life should teach you that.
Yeah, and
You'd be
everybody.
surprised.
It should. I know that's something that don't teach everybody, but it should. All right. If you
Hey,
been around
and
women,
a
you
lot of
should.
Yeah, and everybody should have some self-awareness
right.
that their body and their emotions are carrying that. And a lot of people don't have self-awareness, and they just go out and they just act on whatever
Yep.
without having any self-awareness.
Hey V, appreciate your time,
Yo.
brother. How your son doing track this year?
Man, my son, his track career is up, man.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if I haven't told many people about this, even people that's close to me, man. But my son, his junior year, he's a sophomore. Well, he's a rising junior at college right now. But when he was a junior in high school, man, he was killing it. He was killing it. His senior year, right after Thanksgiving break, he was in a bad car accident, man.
Sorry.
And that totally kind of screwed up, his track aspirations and everything. And I mean, I'm talking about he smart, 1,400 on the SAT, and I mean, not just. I mean, we're not talking about not just going to a D1 school to run track, but when you get in 13, 1,400 in SAT and you athletically gifted, a lot of those Ivy League schools come out to try to get their quotas.
Right.
So he was on that path, but yeah, once he had that bad car accident, that's a lot of that stuff went out the window. But he's still standing. He's strong. He went to Georgia State his first year, and he transferred to UGA, and so he at UGA now. He biology major, and he's looking to go into physical therapy. So he's going into his third year. But before all that stuff happened, dude, as a junior, that dude was clocking. He clocked a 10.5 in the 100 meters.
Wow.
As a junior.
Wow. Man.
And I mean, and behind all of that, coming up, 13, 14-year-old, I mean, he's won national championships in his age division. Coming up, high jumper, long jumper, 100 meter, 200 meter. That dude is my hero because he's about the strongest dude I've ever seen, I've ever experienced, man. Just going through the stuff that he's went through.
That's what's up, man. God bless him, brother.
Yep.
Hey, man, anything else you want to say, brother?
Nah, bro. I mean, I appreciate, I've been, I check the show out, you and JT, you my dog. I check you out, every week, almost every week. When I have some free time, I comment, try to indulge in the conversation. But I really appreciate you having me on, man, because, just kind of giving this platform just to kind of give a, really, and I say a non-biased opinion, but about the stuff that's going on now.
Professional opinion, man. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, thanks for the knowledge. Man.
Yeah. So, anytime you want to have me on, bro, any conversation, I'm good with it,
Appreciate
I call myself a distinguished ruffian, I walk the walk, talk the talk. I'm a chameleon, amongst people in my profession. But behind the scenes, I'm as rough as you want to get.
There it is. Right. My man V. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
Nice to talk with you, King.
I don't think he heard you.
I said nice to talk with you, King.
Yeah, absolutely, baby girl. Absolutely, pretty lady.
Oh, yeah, because y'all, at one point, it was just y'all. Y'all talking about Planet X's and, we was just over here like, okay.
Enjoying the dialogue, right? Appreciate
it. Appreciate you chiming in, bro. We needed that, and I'm hoping that some other people learned something tonight, for real.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, it's not even about learning. It's just opening the perspective of trying to get a wider perspective on the things you need to kind of think about. Not really trying to sway you one way or the other.
Right.
It's just kind of putting the information out there so you can kind of, decide for yourself.
Make an educated choice.
Exactly.
Appreciate you.
There it is. Sunshine, where can we follow you at?
I could see why they call
now
you. They call you Sunshine.
Your new business. Talk to us.
Yes, so I have I had a grand opening for my new business. It's called Because I Matter. If you know about the pineal gland, the third eye is powerful. So it's spelled EYE. So I have an Instagram. It's at Because BECAUSEEYEMATTER. Because I Matter. I sell Irish sea moss, the purple kind. I pray over it. I put it in a sound bowl and put specific hertz to it to give it extra love. Like I make sure it's the best quality and it's potent and it's gonna help you with everything. Black seed oil, black soap, sage, all that witch stuff, and everything.
Black soap is the bomb, man. I'm gonna tell y'all, man. That black soap lathers up so good. Woof.
The oil.
The oils.
Yeah, what I will say though is past couple of years, well, first year I had a golf tournament in Atlanta, and it was just me and a couple of guys that Low, you probably know guys that we play ball with at West Georgia, but we had a golf tournament just kind of kicking it. But this past year, like in April, we kind of opened it up a little bit to some additional folks, but I'm starting a foundation. It's called Growing Men. And so one of the things that we're really keen on is starting scholarships. And, we're talking about, $10,000 a year, just trying to get folks to go in on a scholarship, Black and brown men, to donate $1,000 over 10 years, that sort of thing. Just kind of starting out there, as a starting point. But we're trying to put Black and brown men that are interested in going into education, that want to go into the education field to help teach our other Black and brown men in the educational system. So because there's not a lot of brown and Black men in the education system that can kind of help balance the things out that our Black and brown kids are being taught. But I figure if we start and we have a foundation of other Black and brown men teaching in our education system and helping them get through that process and helping them get through college to get to that point where they can help teach our other brown and Black men and kind of equal out that balance in what they're actually being taught in the education system. So that's one of the things that next year, we're gonna kind of pump up the golf tournament a little bit more. We have it at Marietta, Georgia, at the Marietta Conference Center, and we're gonna start, putting more effort into that to kind of, have more Black and brown men in the education system that are interested in going to kind of help them through that process to get into that system to kind of help, like I said, balance out that process.
That's awesome, bro. That's good stuff, B.
As you get closer to the tournament, make sure you let us know about it, bro. I know I don't play. I just play putt-putt. That's it. But I know a lot of guys, especially, I see you putting them sticks in there, cigar smokers that actually do play a lot of golf, so once we get closer to it, make sure you let us know.
Yep, absolutely.
Good stuff, bro. Brother Roy?
I just want to roll back. The last thing I want to say is I want to roll back to something that was said earlier. So to all those people out there, if you are not getting the vaccine because of the fact that you think they're putting a tracker in you, if you haven't thrown your phone away or any of your debit or credit cards, guess what? They can track you. And
cut it off.
they already doing that. So don't let that be your reason. If that's your reason, go ahead and get the vaccine. Do what you need to do. But no, I mean, just, learn your bodies, folks. Take time to figure out who you are and what causes your body to react. Because I guarantee you can take probably your 3 favorite foods, purge yourself from them for about a week, and see how you feel differently mentally. See how your body feels physically, and see how it impacts you once you start back eating it, and what it does. There's so many things about the foods that we eat that we don't realize how they cause our bodies and our minds to do certain things. So learn your bodies. Take some time to do that, That's all. I ain't gonna put nothing else. Oh, except June 5th. Start listening out. Y'all will hear a lot of noise with some stuff we're gonna be getting ready to kick out June 5th. Because JT made me come up with a date.
Yeah, man. Really saying some great stuff. Give you no date, so we hold you to it.
Yeah, so we gonna
Hey, bro,
start some stuff out.
Hey, bro, I'll tag on to that, man. When you talk about putting stuff in your body, I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but there is something called the blood type diet.
Mm-hmm.
Based on your blood type,
Yep.
there are certain foods that are conducive to promoting your health.
Yep.
And there are certain foods based on your blood type that'll make you feel shitty.
Yep.
You'll have depending on what you eat, you're conducive to have diarrhea, to be kind of sluggish, and so forth and so on. And it's all based on your blood type. For those of you who don't know anything about it, Google search it.
Right.
It's called the blood type diet.
All right. Real quick about you, something that I found out about as I gotten older, I can't do milk anymore.
I've been.
Like
Was
milk-
it created for you?
been
anyway?
Well, it wasn't right. It's one of those things. But like, I literally got to the point where it's like I could feel my body change when because I like cereal, and I was like eating the milk, and it's just like, oh, and it just like after literally after I tried all of it, none of them do anything else. Once I got past like 42, milk it disappeared from my diet. It just like I realized it, and I was sitting up one day because I wanted me some Fruit Loops one day. Went and bought a whole gallon of milk because I bought the big ass bag of Fruit Loops. Thought I was gonna eat up. Man, look, I ended up eating the Fruit Loops like Tic Tacs, and just eating them the stuff by myself because I wouldn't eat them. My body would not deal with the milk.
So what about cheese? You still eat cheese?
Oh yeah, I still eat me some cheese.
Dairy all day.
and I
It
mean,
ain't that much
I mean,
dairy,
like,
but I can. Yeah.
I can't do no.
yeah, I mean,
dairy.
like apple,
I still
like
do it, baby.
apple
It
cider
causes
vinegar.
mucus. It erupts your whole
Uh-huh.
system.
Like apple cider vinegar. A lot of people promote apple cider vinegar as being something that's good for everybody. That shit ain't good for everybody.
It's not good for everybody.
Right,
Yeah.
and then the amount
If
that's
you,
used
I,
and how.
I'm O positive, and apple cider vinegar is not a good thing for O positive to actually ingest. And I've actually kind of tested it, and it's like
Not to cut you off, but
every time
can you speak on the blood types? 'Cause that's something I wanted to ask you. I forgot. COVID and blood types. What's the truth or rumor about certain blood types are more likely to get COVID than others? And not.
So that's a good point. There has early indications, and all of it is still being tested out. If you type A, shit, you don't need to go outside because COVID gonna tear your ass up. If you O negative, O positive, then you are less resistant. But a lot of that is still being kind of put through the rigmarole of testing and kind of figuring it out because we're still a year and a half out from having this virus kind of take hold of us.
Appreciate that.
Good question, ask a cop.
Ask a cop.
Well, I'll go back. This is totally off subject, but I do the same topic every week. If you're approached by the police and you feel that you're wrong, or if it's a situation when you're involved with a police officer, ask for a supervisor. If you don't feel safe, or if the officer seems to be out of control, ask for a supervisor. And I was batting 1,000, but this show I didn't get to ask that question. But I was batting 1,000. If you feel that you've been wrong, a good police officer doesn't mind you filing a complaint. Know why? Because he didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
If the officer's done something wrong, you're doing a disservice to all communities, not just ours, if you do not file an official complaint. I've had people come in here since we've been doing this show, well, since I've been participating, that'll talk about all this heinous stuff and want you to believe it. And when you ask them that one question, did they
You
file a complaint? Oh, no.
No.
You're doing everybody else a disservice because that's when you see situations like
And
it just happened.
statistically, like that's how
It's
it's
the third and
created.
fourth time. It's the third and fourth time the officer's done something. That's one common denominator with a lot of the officers that are involved in fatal shootings that were wrong. Not fatal shootings, because all fatal shootings aren't bad, but the ones where there's questions or the officer was found at fault, almost all of those have a history of brutality complaints or other complaints that were swept under the rug or they weren't penalized like they should have been. So help us by filing complaints if it's needed. Don't file a frivolous complaint, because what that does is tie up an investigator that could be investigating something real.
Right.
Hey, bro, and I appreciate you for saying that every time you on this show. And it don't matter how repetitive you get, keep saying it, because people cannot hear that enough.
Yep. Hopefully they'll
Subconscious
start
gonna
doing
pick
it.
up on it. I liked it. Thank you for letting me
That
know.
that should be part. That's muscle memory. What you putting out there is muscle memory, bro.
Got any questions from your feed, Lo?
Yeah, I just want to point out one. That number one fan that put out earlier. Let me find it real quick. I want to shout out Dr. Kizzy Colbert, 32-year-old black female scientist who's been working on a vaccine for a number of years. She's the one who came up with the exact formula for the Moderna shot. And
She didn't put that out.
Nope, they didn't put that out.
she'll now be in charge of formulating the vaccines at Harvard. So shout out to Kizzy.
Post that. Find that and post that on.
32 years old, man. That's absolutely phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, tell her to post that so
Queen.
that then we can share that.
All right.
Sure.
And again, don't forget to vote. All right. Election time's coming up swiftly. Not a 4-year election, a 2-year election. Don't forget to vote.
Another show, man. It was great, and I think Beyonce said something great, in regards to it's not about teaching people; it's basically giving them the information. One thing I want to say though is it's a personal choice, but stop trying to put your personal choice on other people. Let people make their own choices. Stop getting on people when they say they got the shot, and then, all right, so what? You grew donkey ears, or stop doing that, because there might be somebody else looking at it that might then take that serious when they were actually thinking about getting the shot. Now you've done kind of coerced them into doing something that you want them to do. So, it's a personal choice. Like I said, it hasn't been mandated. I'm on the same thing, just like Beyonce. If I'm out in Publix, if I'm out in Kroger, wherever I'm at, I got my mask on, and I pretty much don't want people around me that don't have theirs on. I don't want no cashier that's standing up there without their mask on. That type of deal. So that's pretty much it. Basically,
You have to respect the person next to you.
exactly. And I think that's, I know we got some opinions out. We got some stuff from a man that's working within it. Hopefully, somebody took this in and they can make an educated decision on it. So that's gonna do it, man. Yeah.
Right. Hey, JT.
Yeah.
And the thing is that they got medications and everything out now to help stop the spread of HIV. And there's certain times when HIV is not spreadable, and somebody who has HIV based on the medication they're taking. But are you still going up in there without no condom?
Hey, boy. Hey, man.
Preach.
Dr. Sabi helped cure HIV, AIDS, and a whole bunch of other ailments, cancer, and all that stuff with the use of black seed oil and other herbs. I sell black seed oil, by the way.
Right. Regardless of whether it's regulated or not, and whether are you still gonna do that?
All right.
Right, that's smart.
So yeah, man. Beyonce,
Right.
again, man, we
Regardless of whether
appreciate
it's
you.
regulated or not.
Yeah, appreciate you, bro.
Absolutely, bro. Anytime. Much love.
All right, so
Same,
next
brother.
Tuesday, y'all, 8:30, we'll be back. Classic Conversations with JT and Lo, and
Ask a cop.
we out.
I wasn't feeling myself at first. That's why I didn't want to come up here.
Look, this the shit that we on. up, let us lose. Black lives on the matter, nigga, when you're lying dead on the news. Gotta pain that blue, gotta pain that blue. Cops kill your blood, niggas ain't talking about viral. Better get a clue, better get a clue. Wake up, my people, this shit can happen to you. Treating us like fools, keep killing our youth. Spreading lies in our schools, they ain't telling the truth. Fuck all of they rules, fuck all of they rules. Signing off as a new nigga with a hat of rule. Now this shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we
ain't trying to just sit around and about everything we going through. Ain't trying to live life and thank God like who the fuck is you? Ain't trying to feel years on earth. I done shed blood, shed tears on dirt. Fighting these fools trying to smear my work. On a set trip trying to clear my hurt. Who are you? What am I? I'm confused. We must wanna die. We killing ourselves is another crime. Cops killing our brothers, they killing our brothers, and I know why. They got us killing ourselves, that ain't no lie. Look, let me break it down for you. First slave master, next employer. No 40 acre, no view, no noise. Them type of eyes where the God destroys. Blood pressure makes diamonds, we shine and grind and we reach our goals. Searching for work without selling soul.
This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on. This the shit that we on, we on, we on, we on, we on, we on.
Yeah, push to the side, bitch to the side. They take niggas' lives, kill niggas' pride. Situations get minimized. Criminal history emphasized. On the victim, they penalized. Officers don't get penalized. Big business is an enterprise. Social media, they hypnotize. That's what people don't realize. Jail and slavery, the same thing. Gotta look at what it symbolized. Still going through the same pain. About time that we improvise. Should we Nat Turner? Or Dr. King? Should we rise up? Or live the dream? Should we stay quiet, don't make a scene? Go Malcolm X by any means. Pick a sides, no in between. Nigga, pick a sides, no in between. Yeah.
Gives us the police count, police discount.
Thank you for teaching us the right stuff, though. All the right things. That was some good information.
But the saddest thing is, so far on the show,